Good morning again. It's 11 past 10. I think we should start. So welcome again to another of our sessions. I enjoyed the first part of last week. I had to run off to another meeting. And like I said, we're at that point where we want to give a deeper, more practical focus to the various groupings. In the form that we sent out, you would notice that there are 3 categories. Those who are at the point of where they're still validating their business idea and operating concept. And the other categories, those who are looking to add e-commerce to their existing operations. And the other levels, those who have e-commerce capabilities, but their objective is of promoting e-commerce sales and channels and so on via their website. So as I said, 29 participants responded. The majority of you self-indicated that you're interested in adding e-commerce to your existing operations. 15 out of the 29. 5 self-reported that your stage of validating your business idea and operating concept. And 6 indicated that they have their e-commerce facility, but they are interested, that you're interested in promoting e-commerce sales and channels, sales channels, etc. via your website. So those of you who have not yet completed the form, it's in your email from Ramon. I would encourage you to do so if you're here. And later on, when the others join, we would send out another request for them to complete the form. So, so today we would spend the first part of the time verifying within exactly which group you would be. And the methodology we're using, we will still keep the 3-hour session per week, but we would divide it into 3 1-hour sessions as per each category of participants. So we would logically, those who are validating stage, we dedicate the first hour to you. Those who are at the point where they want to add e-commerce, the second hour, and those of you who want to promote your existing e-commerce capability facilities, we dedicate the 3rd hour to you. So the link would be sent out normally, and you would log on according to your track. Obviously, the first group would log on just before 10, the others around 11, and the 3rd group 12 o'clock. However, if you think you have the time and you're interested and you want to sit in on the other hour session outside of your core track, then you are free to do so. Right. So are there anyone here who have not filled out the form? So the 25 participants, well, at least 3 of us are facilitators. So I'm assuming that most of you here who are businesses have filled out the form. Is anyone hearing me? Gilbert? Just a
Yes,
sound check.
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. I'm clear.
Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Oh, my bad. Yes, I think my my speaker was off. Hello. Can somebody give me a response on sound, please?
Here now clearly.
Okay, thank you. Right, great. Thank you. Sorry about that.
I'm hearing. I just completed mine.
Okay, great. Right. So if you haven't yet done so, please complete the form so that we can have you properly categorized. So in the meantime, while folks are doing that, I'm sure by the end, halfway through the session, we'll be all clear about where exactly we place ourselves. In the meantime, Gilbert and Leighton, I would invite you to give more details on how this would work. Thank you.
And Leighton, you want to take it from here?
Yeah, sure. No
Just
problem.
explain to them how this this process would work.
No problem. All right, guys. Morning. So as you have heard, Philip mentioned earlier that we'll be putting persons, well, you'll be putting yourself in groups, aka tracks. And what we seek to do as part of this is to engage persons specifically around their needs based on the stage that their business is in. So if you're still in the ideation phase of coming up with your business model, we're going to be zoning in and talking more about that in the first hour of the session. And the second hour we'll dedicate towards e-commerce setup. And the third hour we will dedicate towards e-commerce promotion. Doesn't mean that because you're in one track, you cannot sit in and observe what's happening on another. It's natural for persons who are in the ideation phase to want to know what's next with e-commerce setup and also potentially how they can structure themselves from now to promote their business. Likewise, although we know that some persons have gone the whole 9 years of having your e-commerce setup and they're not ready to promote, they may also be interested in taking a look back at their strategy to maybe expand on their revenue model, maybe expand on how they see their business, or maybe pull back on things that are not working, you know. So we encourage persons to take advantage of all the sessions if you have the time to. Of course, we will be dedicating our time towards each track per hour so that we can zone in on those specific needs at that point in time. We have 5 more weeks, well, including this week, to go, and we'll be using all 5 weeks to look closer at the technical type of work that will be done. So strategy is the only one that won't see us, well, for those in the first track who want to, who are still in the ideation phase, I may be the only ones who we won't get too technical with because there's nothing technically to execute, but more so zoning in on, you know, what are the considerations for each person's business. Of course, we will continue to leverage Kim's Beauty to lead the conversation around how we execute, as we have promised from the beginning that, you know, we will be using Kim's Beauty as a way of creating that blueprint, that formula for how you show up online. So the first thing that we will do, and we'll start that this week, is actually you know, just looking back through our workbooks, looking back at the workbook approach towards the different areas of the different of e-commerce. For those who may not have completed their workbook exercises as yet, this is the time to have that done and done in its entirety. While I'm going through some of these exercises, feel free to do it on your own, do it at the same time on your own end. You want to maximize these sessions as best as possible. As I mentioned to you before, one of my most prized tools coming out of engagement similar to this was actually leaving with that blueprint. And we want to ensure that you leave with the blueprint. So consider these working sessions, guys. Consider these sessions where you come to the table, not to sit and listen, but to actually put in some work, have free and open discussions, ask questions about exactly how things can be adapted to your specific business, right? As I said, we'll be leading with the Kim's Beauty working example, but of course, that is just for demonstration purposes. Then we will get into your specific needs. As I said, we have 5 weeks, so every hour at the beginning, every hour for the next 5 weeks will be dedicated to each track. So the first hour, second hour, third hour for the next 5 weeks. So we won't be covering every single thing in the first session. Again, it will be work in progress as we go through different areas. And 5 weeks is more than enough for us to go through everything. So I encourage persons to use this opportunity if you have not started as it. Literally do some work on your business. As entrepreneurs, a lot of times we get caught and bogged down working in our business, trying to turn the wheels every day, and we don't get to spend a lot of time working on the business. Once you start to work on the business, guys, as an entrepreneur, it will be very difficult to go back to always working in your business because you'll be able to see what you can achieve by doing so. I never started to achieve sensible success in my business until I started to work on the business. When you're working in the business every single day, your head is down, you are focused mainly on just making whatever is in place work. How do you grow that? How do you expand on what is in place? How do you make it better? It's by working on the business. So we're going to be encouraging persons to use these sessions as working sessions to work on your business, make it better, ask unlimited questions. Don't be afraid. No, there's no stupid question. As I said here, we're mainly here to get into the practical elements of things. Don't wait for us to lead you down a particular direction for you to ask a question that has been burning, right? Don't wait for us to cover it. Just bring it up. If it is coming, we'll let you know. If we need to divert and look at it, we'll look at it, all right? But we want these sessions to be engaging. We want these sessions to be all about you. It's not about us imparting knowledge anymore. Of course, we're going to be using the Kim's Beauty as the guide, but the main output from this that we want is to ensure that you all have your blueprint in place and you are able to execute on that blueprint as we seek to close out the next few weeks of this engagement. For our BSOs, of course, your blueprint is in supporting clients, so feel free to ask questions about how to provide the guidance that is necessary to these individuals, right? Do we have any questions before we jump into things?
And I wanted for today, I think we're starting right away with the separation of the tracks, like those who are in the second tier, would they come back in, or how would that work?
Yeah, we're starting today. We're starting today with the tracks. Somebody's asking, please split payment solutions. Okay, yeah, man, we'll be getting into e-commerce deep, so we'll be covering all areas. The question is, so we're starting today. We're starting right now. Persons who have put themselves in tracks know themselves. What we need from our end, Philip, would be simply a list of all those persons who are in the particular track so that we can call on them specifically to give us answer questions or to just bring them into the loop of the conversation around what their needs are and what the specifics are around that. But we can start today while persons are still completing this, because we're going to start from the point of the workbook and just exemplifying how Kim's Beauty is going to show up in this space practically.
Okay, great. For the time being, they could just indicate by a show of hand. Ramon is not currently in a meeting, and so he has a back end. I'm trying to get his attention from the meeting to get the back end part of it. But they could just by a show of hand at this point if they're which tier they're in.
Okay.
If you need.
That works. That works. That works. That definitely works. All right, so Philip, if there's nothing else from you, Gilbert, I don't know if there's anything you want to jump in on before we get into this session.
No, not particularly. No.
Okay.
Just that each person, each organization show up, right, and deliver what they need to deliver in their space in terms of being honest about where you are and exactly what you want this workbook to deliver to you. That's it.
Right. All right, thanks, Gilbert. All right, I'm gonna ask persons who are in the ideation track to just raise your hands so that we can see who you are. Those who are in the first track ideation, we'll ask them to raise their hands.
So I see Troy, Kathy, and
Only two?
apparently.
All right, not a problem.
Yeah, like I said, only 5 persons are indicated in that track. The
So we're not-
majority is in track 2.
In track 2, okay.
And Philip, you could verify by the raise of hands who is in that first track. So it's Troy and Kathy and Kyle.
Okay. All right. Just bringing up some stuff here in my index. Give me a second. Sharing screen. All right. Troy and Kathy, and I'm going to ask to just unmute your mics for me, please. For the just for a minute, and just tell us a little bit about your business, where it is at now, and you know, what are some of the things that are burning questions for you, things that you're trying to figure out that is just not too clear. Help us to understand exactly what it is that you need most from this stage of the program. So Troy, Kathy, either one can go first.
Well, this is Troy. I would like to speak more to my BSO in regards to the supportive stage. I have the company registered. I have a draft of the business plan. I have a cash flow projection that needs to be verified and looked at. And just tightening up the business plan to what stages to incorporate the e-commerce capability would be one of my first steps towards a revenue stream, as a main source of revenue stream, actually. And basically to implement the workbook strategies initially from now.
Okay. In terms of your workbook strategies, Troy, have you been able to complete the workbook, at least the business model unit, the first one, as it?
Not in its entirety. This is the one you have up on the screen now?
Correct, this is the one over on the screen.
Right. No, not its entirety.
All right, so we're gonna need it to
I have a draft, but it's not complete. I need to probably converse with somebody.
right to make the best of
Later, I want to jump in here and ask a question of Troy. Troy, is it because you're just too busy, or is it?
It's a combination of things. I think working on the business as opposed to in the business on a daily basis is also an issue.
Got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is I'm only asking these questions so we could know how to redesign the second cohort. Okay. So there will be some more objective evaluation that will be sent to a SurveyMonkey, but while we're having the discussion, I think it will be beneficial for me to just kind of get what are some of the issues there. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Okay, I'm gonna try. Right. So as I said, to make the best of this make the best out of this. These sessions, we're gonna ask you to see if you can complete it as best as possible. Because only through, having this completed, you'll be able to have a clear idea as to, what your business model is going to look like, what the business idea is going to look like from an e-commerce perspective, what elements we're going to pull on. Because remember, after you finish this phase, next thing will be to look at setting up, So once you're going through, you're connected with your base, or you've done the necessaries, whether it is getting bank accounts in place and so forth. The next step is looking at activating the business model. So I want to ensure that you are in a good position to activate as soon as you're through that process. All right. Thanks for that input, Troy. Kathy Ann, I'd love to hear about a little bit about your business, where you are, what exactly it is that you need most right now to figure out on your end.
Hi, good morning. I I have not been able to do the workbook as yet, so I'm thinking that because of that, I am really at a loss in terms of keeping up. So because like what was said earlier, I have been working in the business as opposed to on the business. So I have a lot of paperwork to really get done so that I can exactly see where I am at, so that I can tell you adequately what I need done, because it is like I'm actually starting from the beginning, although the business has been going physically, but not on paper.
Right. So tell me something then, Catherine. Is it a case where your business has been operating informally? So you've been getting business, but you're just not operating in the formal structure of how you want or how you should be operating. Is that the case?
Yes, definitely not how I should.
Okay. So question, is your business registered as yet?
Yes.
Registered, okay. Have bank accounts in place?
Yes.
Okay. And you have sales already?
Well, not recently, because I may have mentioned before that I had stopped it for a while. So I am now in the process of getting things up and running again. So although I would have started before, to know is more like a beginning, a new beginning.
It's like you're restarting, like you're reorganizing, you're restructuring.
Yes.
Okay. And Troy, in your case, just confirm, do you have any sales as yet, or is it still in the ideation phase of bringing the idea to market to fruition?
No sales as yet. It's an ideation stage and developmental stage. I've identified sources and abilities to get it done, but nothing yet because of the ability to get it done right now. They're not fully operational. I plan on using the incubation center, and they're not fully up for me to start with them right now.
Okay. All right. So as I mentioned, at this stage, for the ideators, we want to ensure that you're very clear on your business model. Want to ensure that you're very clear on your strategy and how you want to move forward. So as I mentioned again, we're going to start out today's session just using Kim's Beauty as an example. I'm going to also pull you guys into the conversation while we're doing it, to ask your opinion about your own business on these particular subject matters. I'm going to ask you guys to just open up your version of this document on your side, so that maybe while we're going through, they can just filling it out. You understand? You both have not completed this document as yet. This may be an opportunity for us to do it together. All right. So please, I encourage you to just open it up on your end and complete on your end as we're going. All right. All right, guys. So we're dedicated. Give me a second, please.
A quick question. I have a version of the business model canvas
Mhm.
from before. I've been working on that and I've had it from before, but I didn't get one in the workbook. I've only gotten workbook 4 to date. I haven't got the one you have on the screen now. Should I have gotten that before now?
I tried. I think you joined a little bit late. So I think you missed probably the first 2 or 3 sessions.
Yeah.
This
Okay, in this case, we'd let Ramona send the stuff. But Troy, which BSO are you working with? Troy? Which,
Hello, one second.
Can you please send me as well?
right, that's Ramona to do that. Katian. Yeah, so Troy
Yeah,
and Katian, which
Yeah, I've
BSOs
only
are you
gotten
working
the
with?
number 4 workbook in my system. And I've been contacted by one DBO. Only one, I mean, the DBO only once, and I've been,
Your BSO,
my
BSO,
BSO,
Business
sorry.
Support Organization.
Yeah, I haven't been able to, touch back base with them since then.
No, I'm asking you in plenary, who's your BSO?
One second, let me just see who contacted me, one second.
I'm with the Small Business Association in Barbados.
Okay, small. Okay, great. Thanks, Katian.
One second.
No problem.
I'm searching my history to see when the call came in.
Right. Never mind the delay. This is a walking session, so obviously there will be pauses like this.
Right. So when you pull it up, Troy, maybe
Yeah, you could send me as a private message then.
Okay,
or you
all right,
can
no problem.
even drop it in the chat as well.
Right.
Maybe. All right, guys. All right. So I said, no, I said, guys. So we'll be talking about strategy for the first hour today, which we've gone almost 40 minutes out of that hour, so we'll be spending a short amount of time today in the strategy session. But for everybody else, feel free again to make best use of this engagement. Again, for those who have the workbooks, pull them up in front of you. Let's fill them out. Let's fill them out. Let's get them completed. Especially for those in the other areas who know that they will rely on key information to activate the different strategies for e-commerce and for promoting their business. Right?
Leighton, one suggestion. So yeah, we would end the first hour exactly on 11 o'clock for this,
Yes.
and move on to
Yes.
to tier 2 for today. Okay, thanks.
That's for today. Yes. All right. So as I mentioned, guys, strategy is very important for how you activate. It doesn't make any sense. You just get up and you're doing without thinking about what exactly it is that you are doing, right? So we want to encourage persons to have a clear strategy. So getting some feedback. I don't know whose mic is unmuted. Kathy, I'm going to mute you in case it's.
Pardon?
Kathy, can I ask you to mute? Just go on mute for me. I think I'm getting some feedback from your microphone. All right, great, thanks.
All right, so my BSO is Business Works. I'll send it in the chat to the host.
Business Works. Okay.
Management consultant.
Philip, you got that? Philip? All right, I'm gonna trust that Philip got that. All right. Yeah, so going
Go
back
ahead, go ahead, Leighton.
Yeah, man, I was saying that it's in the chat in case you didn't hear that just now.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, great.
All right, guys. So as I mentioned, strategy, everything flows from strategy. Every single time when I'm pulled in to engage with a client around their e-commerce website not working, I have to always dial it all the way back to strategy. What are you doing? How are you doing it? Why do this versus that? And in having that conversation, it helps them to realize, how to activate, how to show up, what mindset do you need to be in to properly execute this type of thing? What are the things to expect? How are we going to be relating to our customer base? A lot of times when we're thinking about selling our goods and services, we're focused a lot on the product. But oftentimes, what we need to look at is the consumer, the end customer. What are their needs? What do they want? Why do they want it? What will make them buy from you versus somebody else? We've been at this for quite a few months now, and we've used many examples. I use the example. I remember when we were talking about this particular module about a Chinese store and a black-owned, perceived black-owned store downtown. Interestingly, both stores were owned by the same Chinese person, but because of perception, some people are Chinese, some people don't. Because of that, some people buy from the Chinese, some people will boycott. And what they did was to create two stores, one with bare black people in there, one with bare Chinese people in there. For those who did not like the Chinese, they went over to the black person. For those who who wanted to shop with the Chinese, they went over to the Chinese person. But all in all, they were able to capture both segments of their market because they understood the psychology of their customer. They understood what the customer was looking for, and they understood how to connect with those particular customers. At the end of the day, even those who were boycotting were supporting unknowingly. Or maybe it is that maybe they knew, but they just didn't want to deal with the Chinese people for some reason or another, These are things that you can do. You can activate when you understand your business, when you understand the strategy behind what you're doing and how you're going to sell your products and services, right? So Troy, can you just unmute your mic and remind us what business area you're in? Also, Kathy, what's your business focus? Just remind us.
Well, I'm into farming and manufacturing of black castor oil and other essential oils.
Essential oils. Kathy?
Clothing.
Clothing. You said clothing, right?
Yes, please. Manufacture and sale.
Manufacture. Okay, so you make the clothes and you sell them.
Yes, please.
Not just retailing.
No.
Okay. Are you retailing as well? Or only
Yes.
custom made?
Well,
So
that's the idea. Yes.
okay. So you're gonna be doing custom wares, plus you also will be looking at retailing some items, correct?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Troy, is it the same for you, or will it be only selling what you produce?
Repeat the question, sorry.
The question is, do you plan to retail other person's products as well, or is that you will only be selling what you produce?
No, I'll be reselling other person's products from my e-commerce platform.
Okay. So you see, guys, it's important to understand what are the different ways you're going to show up or you're going to sell, so that you can know, how to position yourself, how to position the products that you're going to be retailing, right? There's a different sales argument for each, especially being that the products that you make may not be a known brand. Where you both are pretty early in the market as it relates to, bringing your products to fruition. One of the things that you'll have to overcome at that point in time is lack of brand recognition. How will you, get the brand out there, get persons to connect with it, get persons to buy from you? But what I like about it is that you are also retailing, so you're going to be using other more popular brands to bring traffic to connect with the market, while using that opportunity, of course, to sell your own products that are made by him, right? So these things are key considerations. Now, as I mentioned, I wish you guys both had your workbooks in front of you. But in not having it, we're gonna go through the example of Kim's Beauty, and just document this you know, again, you guys can use this as a working example as to how you do the same. Let us ensure that for next week's session, you have received all your workbooks. What we may do and what we may ask Ramona to do is to just maybe put all the workbooks on one document or one email and send it over to everybody, so that, you know, we remedy this issue of some persons having parts of the workbook and not having others, right?
Yeah,
So
that's a good idea, Leighton. Just a second, please.
yes.
One, to be clear, tier 2 starts at 11 Barbados time. For those of you in Jamaica, that'll be 10 o'clock your time. But so tier 2 starts in the next 13 minutes or so. And there's a question for Troy. Somebody was asking if Troy processes the beans he uses.
Troy?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Troy, do you process the beans that you use?
Yes, that is what I plan on doing, processing and bottling and manufacturing.
Okay, so I guess you buy the beans or you plant them. Oh, is it?
Both. I grow my own and I
Right.
also buy from small farmers.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, so let's kick off the workbook, again, working example for Kim's Beauty. All right, in the case of Kim's Beauty, let's go through this process together, right? So the problem being solved by Kim's Beauty here is that Kim's Beauty is providing beauty services, right? To the Jamaicans in Montego Bay, sorry, the Jamaicans and the tourists in Montego Bay. The Jamaica, right? Perceived value here for Kim's Beauty is that Kim's provide affordable services based on the type of service that you need, right? So her key value proposition for pricing here is affordability, right? Now for Troy and sorry, for Troy and Catherine, as it relates to your pricing strategy, you know, do you see yourself positioning as, you know, being one of the cheaper alternatives? Are you coming in at the highest price point? Are you coming in the middle? How are you going to be positioning your products to the market? Troy, I'm going to start with you.
I'm planning on coming in as a premium product on the brand Jamaica. But to break into the market, to get some market share, I am considering coming into a more competitive price. It still needs to be decided, but I'm thinking about breaking into the market with a competitive price, but then target the premium market.
Okay. So, you know,
Leighton,
yes.
hey, I was just gonna Troy, I know you and I have been promising to speak, but that's something you have to be very careful with, right?
So what's the
After last week's meeting, right, and understanding a number of the challenges that the Caribbean firms are facing in terms of financing, and the fear of getting into a global e-commerce space and not being able to produce the products that you need to meet the demand. We go back to some of the very first classes that we taught where you're selling value. And if your product is a premium product, Troy, it may take you some time to get to sales, but make it a premium product.
Keep
Right?
it at
It could be
premium. So you're saying don't come in with a loss leader. Keep it as a premium.
no, keep it as a
Yeah,
if it is a premium product, keep it as a premium product. If it is that only a few people could buy your product, then we find that market space where you fit and we sell it to that market. That market may not be your local market. It may not be Jamaicans. It may not be the people from downtown. It may not be the people from. You have to know exactly what you're doing and stick to that thing. Understand there may be a challenge in the income and the revenue that you're getting. But as a business person, understanding your product and understanding your vision, it cannot be short-sighted. You can always look to make a return. I'm going to give examples of firms who have been in business like Amazon. Amazon was in business. I know this is impossible for most of us. They were in business for 25 years and did not make one dime of profit for 25 years. But on the 25th year, until now, Jeff Bezos is one of the richest persons in the world, right? Because he had a vision of exactly where he needed to align his services. If you have
Andrea
that
has a
vision,
hand up.
stick to it.
So
Thank you
you're saying-
very much. Good morning, everyone. I wanted to agree with him totally, and to recommend that the possibility exists that when you do build out your business plan, you may find yourself with 3 separate and distinct brands, totally different lane, one for bulk, for export, processors in the beauty market. And there's a high demand in that, and they want it raw and pure and unfiltered, and you could sell those in bulk. And then you have the local market where you have your pretty bottle and your pretty brand, and you dilute it a little bit and so on. And then you also have the retail form that is full, authentic, unfiltered, ugly smelling black castor oil. There's a market for all 3 distinct products. So I agree with the trainer.
Thanks for that input. Thanks for that input. That's very, very powerful right there, Troy. Again, just before Gilbert jumped in, I was about to say the same. You have to be very careful about your brand positioning. The way how people perceive you come down to how you position yourself to the space from a look and feel, from a pricing perspective, from a communication perspective as well. What do you communicate? How do you communicate? How do you get persons to connect with you? And if we're in the business of selling high value products, you cannot come in at a discounted rate. You'll never see Benz having a discount. You'll never see Rolex having a discount. You'll never see any of the world's top luxury or premium brands promoting themselves with a discount, right? Which brings us to the next thing of maybe how it is that Troy can enter the market space in a way that allows him to introduce the product in a friction-free way, while still maintaining his price point. Is there any, do anybody have any ideas around how Troy could activate with that in mind? Because the reason why he is considering this content is that he wants to see it, and he wants as many persons to introduce to experience the product as early as is possible. But do we have any ideas for Troy on how he could introduce a premium product to the marketplace while still preserving his brand positioning and not discounting his product? Anybody have any ideas on that?
I'd really appreciate that. That's the dilemma I'm facing.
I realize that. Gilbert, anything for us on that element?
So the question is, how does Troy enter a luxury, bring a luxury brand into a market space, right? Who are your competitors in that space? Like we don't have to reinvent the wheel with a lot of things that we're trying. Right? We could look at the luxury space, right? Take a keen look at the luxury space itself. How does a luxury space function? We could look at the castor oil space and see how it functions, right? Then we look at the intersection of these two spaces and you find a model that best suits Troy. So this is a session that either myself and Troy or you and Troy are going to have to sit down and we say, all right, let's examine these two spaces, the luxury space, the castor oil space, and the market space, the three spaces. We find the intersection of those spaces that suits Troy and Troy's current financial position. Because I can tell you, I know if Troy had the ability, or if he has the resources, the financial resources, which is what a lot of these big brands typically do. In that space, you would find other luxury products to align yourself with, other luxury services to align yourself with. And then you'll be willing to pursue and market your product as a luxury product for a period of time without the need for a return on that, without for immediate need and that return on investment.
I
So
see.
let's say today you have, if you had $100,000, and let's give you another example that is very relevant, right? In the restaurant industry, often when you just open up a restaurant, this is why restaurants fail, because of the lack of capital to maintain the quality of food that they're currently serving until they have a clientele that could fully patronize them for a longer period of time. So I'm cooking food of a particular quality, but I'm not getting the patrons that I need in order to maintain, in order to get the income that I need to continue to run this operation. So they have to either lower the value or lower the value of the food that they're creating. And then the taste falls off, and the patrons that they already have is like, no, now this food doesn't taste as good as it used to. So now those patrons are no longer coming. You don't want to face that dilemma. If these restaurants had the capital to consistently maintain that quality of food over a 3-year period of time without depending on patrons for an income, not only do they survive, they thrive, because they've now known for consistency in value. So you're going to have to plan that, and you have to say, okay, I have the resources where I can keep putting out and getting my brand to market, aligning my brand with other luxury brand, understanding that luxury brand space, and understand that my return on investment, rather than saying I'm doing a fast fashion type thing where I can just get it in there cheap, and I make some money quickly, and that's what I'm known for. But that's not your vision for your product. You want longevity. You want to know that I can sell my product at a premium because I've put premium energy and resources into creating this product. It's not like any other. So that is predominantly marketing.
All right, thanks for Gilbert. Caribbean trainers, see your hands up.
Hi, I am of the view that perhaps Troy needs to research a lot more about the product and the market and what's already and what interventions have already been made. In Jamaica, there's such a serious movement for the product that it's deemed to be eligible for to be categorized as a geographical indicator, which on its own carries a premium in pricing. There is already so much research on the market that there is nothing you need from anyone at this point, because you're so early. You really need to strengthen your knowledge of the business, and nobody can do that for you. So I hear research needed. No one can the questions that they're going to ask you, you don't sound as if you are ready to answer them as yet. Maybe you can, but it doesn't sound that way as yet. You really need to sit at the feet of the Jam Pros and the Castor Oil Association and Sheba Lindo and all these people that have invested in the business and are shipping barrels of castor oil out to the L'Oreals and so on. And when you say you want a premium castor oil product, is it the finished product? Is it for your face, your hair? Is it as a premium raw material? What do you mean when you say a premium product? I think all of those need to be defined, and you perhaps need to be sitting with a scientist. But I hear that it's begging, your business model is begging for research. That's what I hear. And again, I don't know what I don't know. So forgive me if I've misread.
No, I like the input, guys. I like the input. And you said something earlier about having 3 different schools of products. Try, as an entrepreneur, one of the first things that we always want to do is we want to get to market as quickly as it's possible. And we want to fulfill the needs of different types of customers so that we can have different types of sales, different types of revenue streams. And there was the mention of potentially as having different SKUs. So you maybe have your bulk the product that is provided in bulk to a particular demographic of customers, and you have your more premiumly positioned product, which sits on shelves and so forth. But these are some good insights, and I think maybe Troy, maybe you need to connect with Caribbean trainers to get some more insight into their own knowledge of the space that you're in.
Sorry to interrupt, Leighton.
Yes.
My fellow VEAPers have to run off now to another meeting, and this is a very interesting session. But I suggest that we then move to the second tier and we pick up next week on this. So I'll be out for the next hour. Thank you.
No problem. We're gonna spend about 5 more minutes on Cafe Ann. Cafe Ann, just give us a little bit of insight into your perception, your perceived value. What price point you'll be looking to sell at, and why you think persons would buy at that price point.
Before Katyan starts, right? Let me just say something quickly. Yesterday, I had a very interesting meeting with a firm here in New York, and one of the things that they asked is, what is the vision of the Caribbean when you think about products? I really didn't know how to answer that particular. I said, okay, given, for example, when we think of Italians and we think, oh, great suits, great pasta. When we think of the Caribbean, what does the Caribbean create? And the idea in my head is always things of value, because we tend to do things a lot slower. We tend to do a lot of things by hand, by value. So even for Troy just creating, or anybody in Jamaica just creating castor oil, the fact that it's coming out of that space, I think you guys have an opportunity to brand it as premium. Same thing with Katya and with her dresses. If you're taking your time to make something by hand, very differently, right? It's a premium product in and of itself. And you have to be very careful. Clayton said something a while ago, and I don't totally agree with, right? One of the challenges that we have, again, we go back to our lack of capital. And it's not that our vision is to get the products into the hands of consumers as quickly as possible. It's our need for the return on investment as quickly as possible so that we don't fall flat in our face, so that we could continue to feed ourselves and our family, so that we have a lifestyle. So this is one of the reasons we tend to rush the market, the lack of capital to sustain that vision. All right. So take up enough time. Katyan, please go ahead.
Answer that very well. Katyan, just some quick insight into your perceived product value. What price point do you see yourself selling at? Is it low, medium, high? What do you think would make persons buy at that particular rate?
Well, for me, that is a compound question, because I like to view my product as premium. The problem with that is where I am located and what raw material is available to me. Because although I may be producing a premium product, there is the cost factor, because I have to import most, if not all, of my raw material, which in turn would carry up the cost of the product, which may be similar to another product which is being mass produced, let's say in China. So I am usually pressured to lower the price of the product. But listening to Gilbert throughout this time, all I have been hearing is maybe I need to change my customers as opposed to my product, my price, the price of my product. Because as he said just now, very rightly, because most of what we do are things with our hands. So there is quality going into it unless we're gonna do a shabby job. But for me, I like a good finish. So it will take time, it will take effort. It may look similar to something else that somebody's doing out there, but when you look at the product, you can see the difference because of the finish that I will have. It will be similar to somebody else, but I always have a challenge with the price point that I want as opposed to the price point that I might be able to get from the customer that may be in the area. So coming back to the beginning, I do believe I have a premium product. You asked earlier about using other people's product to help if in terms of retail. That would be a way to help subsidize what I'm doing so that I can make a quicker sale while I'm doing what I want to do.
Okay. So you sell the retail products as, you know, your attractive price point to bring in some customers, but you will keep it's almost like a line of clothing that is branded as premium, and you sell that.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Well, what I will say to that is, don't change your product, change your market, right? We have to understand what we're selling and who we're selling it to. It doesn't make any sense for us to sell a high value product to persons who can't afford it, right? Also, you know, the opposite may also be true. At the end of the day, guys, one key thing, and that's why it's important to go through this exercise, because we talk about your target market, customer touch points, and you know your value proposition overall here that we're going through. It's important to understand what your value proposition is for your business. If it is that you're going to get sale. I have been in that position before as well. Type of work that I do takes weeks and months to get done. I cannot do it for a certain price point, yet there are persons out there who are doing it for that price point. But at the same time, I still continue to get jobs way above the price point that my competitors are doing it at, because of the quality, because of the type of approach, because of how I identify with the customer and how I position myself. Understanding how to position yourself, guys, can make or break you know, your business model, can make or break your sales model. And at the end of the day, perception of your business and brand is extremely important to the longevity of it. And we know fashion to be one of those areas as well that, you know, high quality is appreciated amongst a certain demographic of person, you know. What I say as well is that when you lock into your ideal customer base, you will find that a lot of business comes through referral. You know, I use the example of suits. I have a friend group here in Jamaica, you know, we've been very tight from high school, some of us from as far back as primary school, even infant school. And we all got married at some point in time. And for those who kept weddings, we all worked with one single suit maker. Every single person just automatically went back and back and back. Of course, we were all in each other's bridal parties, so we got to experience that person every time when somebody got married. But you know, it was to the point where it was a no-brainer. There were persons out there who were more expensive, there were persons out there who were cheaper. But we continuously kept going back and back to that person simply because the quality, because of the experience. Also remember, guys, and I don't think one to take away that I personally will take away from this VEAP program is something that Gilbert said, that, you know, when we're selling, we sell value and experience. When we're selling a premium product, never forget the experience component of it. You understand? Something that is made for you, fit to you, is something that is sellable. You understand? So always keep those points in your conversation. All right, Kathy?
And although we see this session, this
Thank
portion of
you.
the session is for those who are in the first cohort, the first tier. I'm giving you an example of a product, right? This lesson benefits everyone. How many of you guys had drank a Red Bull before?
Probably all.
Tastes horrible. I can't drink it. I'm allergic to it. Right? It drives me crazy. But Red Bull is a horrible tasting drink. It comes in a smaller can. So it's smaller, tastes horrible, but it's more expensive than its competitor, which is just a Mountain Dew or a Coke or something. All give you a sugar rush. But when they were bringing out Red Bull, and it was like, okay, so we're bringing out this product that is going to taste horrible, that is smaller. Should we price it at less? And the head of marketing was like, no, we won't be able to sell it. We have to price it more expensive than everything else. So that's why Red Bull is more expensive than everything else. It's like a horrible tasting drink that is smaller than the other and then competitors, and I'm pricing it high, and everybody flock to it. Understanding the value in what you're producing is really, really important. And go back to what I was saying to Troy earlier, marketing is going to be critical. It's difficult when you look at the product that you're producing, right? Is the black castor oil. It is not as flamboyant as Katien's dresses. Katien could make a dress that you put on, and it changes your entire day, your entire experience for that particular day. You're making a product that is not fancy. So you've got to find a way to market this product and its benefit that is very, very fancy, that is very, very appealing. Marketing is what's going to take it, and that's going to require resources. Over to you later.
Yeah, man, thanks for that, Gilbert. And Gilbert made a mention of something that I want to close this segment on, which is, perception of Caribbean products. And I think we all need to wrap our minds around that, because as Caribbean businesses, our individual countries are fairly small compared to a lot of the other markets out there. So export always has to be a part of our thinking. Yes, of course we can thrive on our local market, but again, we want to excel at what we're doing. So export has to be a part of that thinking, and understanding how the Caribbean is perceived from a product perspective is very important to that thinking. So, I just want us to pick our brains as manufacturers, as producers of things Caribbean. How do we see ourselves within the global sphere? Because at the end of the day, the castor oil, the clothes is being made in Africa. Then what's the difference between buying Jamaican castor oil or Jamaican clothes versus buying it from Africa? It comes down to the perception. I know that Jamaica and the Caribbean is seen a lot for natural, real, authentic. I think those are three words that resonate with anything that is marketed out of our space, down to even the regulated substances like marijuana. People consider Caribbean-based marijuana to be something of exceptional standards. Same thing as agricultural produce. And I see some of the potatoes and stuff that are sent to Canada, to UK. These are exceptional products. Like it's not the same products that we walk into our local markets and see, what is left behind here in the Caribbean, where food is concerned, is actually the lesser of what is produced. So we need to be very clear and understand, the perception of our products, perception of us as business people, and play to that strength. Play to that strength. All right. So this was a very good conversation, guys. I really like it, and I hope that it will continue the same as we go through to the other tracks. We'll be moving over now to the e-commerce chat. Now, we came over a little bit late, 15 minutes, but of course we started the previous one late. So we're gonna spend about 45 minutes there, about, or maybe a full hour on this section, being that we have the largest group of persons here, and then we jump over into promotional elements of things. All right. Now the good thing about this is that we actually had created Kim's Beauty. We had filled this out before in going through the workbook session, but again, we're just going to run back over it. But at this point in time, I'm going to ask persons who have selected the e-commerce setup track to just, raise their hands so we can see exactly, who the persons are who are in that particular segment. Please just raise your hands. Raise your hands. Raise your hands. Everybody's hands raised. Just to try, it seems as if you put yourself in multiple tracks. How do I get the screen to bigger again?
Remember, the e-commerce trackers are part of my whole plan, so.
I understand. Are the hands raised? I'm not seeing Gilbert. Oh, okay, I'm seeing them now. I'm seeing only
5.
Come on, let's put up all the hands of persons who are in the e-commerce track. We have 15 registered. I'm sure there are more. Let's put them up, guys. Put them up. 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 Those who are in the e-commerce. Yes, I see here. I see Caribbean trainers' hands. So come on, guys. How much you say we had, Gilbert? 15. We're gonna have 5 hands here. Let's put up those hands. Okay, I see Wayne jump in as well.
Yeah, Wayne has been there, so Andrea just jumped in.
Andrea jumped in. All right. Let's start with is it Rosette? Rosette, is that how your name is pronounced? Don't want to butcher it.
Yeah, Marcia should be in this group as well.
Marcia Peak, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Come on, guys, put the hands up. Put the hands up. Don't be shy. It's not the time to be shy. Put the hands up. All right, Rosette, let's start with you. Let's just hear a little bit about your business and what are some of your e-commerce needs that you have right now.
Okay, good morning. Can you hear me?
We're hearing you loud and clear.
Hello? Okay, so I'm working without a headphone, so I could barely hear anything. So we're Rocks and Roses, and we produce fabric bags, mainly clutches. We use more bright prints like Caribbean style prints, African style prints, and we pair them with fabric jewelry, mainly because a lot of people are now showing sensitivity towards some metals and so on. So fabric jewelry, they're easily customizable, they're washable, and people like the idea of matching, your clutches to your necklaces and so on.
Right,
we also produce fabric totes and so on. So most of our products are fabric. We also do handmade soaps, cold processed soaps. That's mainly what we're working with. Like I said, last week, we're basically rebuilding stock at the moment because we were completely wiped out over the last couple of weeks. That is going a bit slow because finances and sourcing materials here sometimes are a little bit difficult.
Where is here?
Because St. Vincent.
St. Vincent, okay.
Right. For
Rosette, you're gone on mute.
on our clutches, right? And they're very difficult to get here. And when you get them, they're very expensive. So we order them from China, and then that takes 3 months to get them. Fabrics, on the other hand, we're basically at the mercy of the stores here, unless we plan to buy from Trinidad or somewhere else. So that's basically where we're at. Our products do sell. Once we produce them, we're not able to keep them. At the moment, we're not even able to keep up with the demand.
What? You have a very good problem then, man. So tell me something then. How are you selling your products right now? How do customers access the products?
Word of mouth and social media.
Okay, okay.
That's
okay.
basically it. We do not have a website. We have Facebook and Instagram. When we produce stuff, we just post pictures and immediately calls come in. We have customers. They would just call in and say, "Hey, I need something to take overseas now." And we produce like that, or somebody would call and say, "Hey, somebody bought this from you and I'd like something from you also." So that's basically where we're at.
Okay, okay, okay. So as it is right now, you have absolutely no website set up, right?
No website set up, just social media. That's what we do.
Okay, okay, that's good. All right, so you have a very good problem. Once you have an e-commerce setup, even if it's just having that online catalog for persons to view your products.
Right. I'm still questioning payment gateways here in St. Vincent, because I know we can't collect money from PayPal.
So you can't?
No.
Okay.
We can use PayPal as in sending money, but we can't collect money through PayPal.
Why can't you collect it? Is there a policy in your country about clearing PayPal checks?
As far as I know,
the issue is PayPal itself. The issue is PayPal. A lot of payment solutions available outside the Caribbean are not available in majority of the Caribbean countries. Your experience in Jamaica and Trinidad is significantly different from all the other islands.
Wow.
Significantly, yeah. It's PayPal. It's a PayPal issue. It's a trust issue on PayPal side.
So you are saying that if I open a PayPal account, business account, I collect payments with PayPal, and the monies are sitting in my PayPal wallet. If I request a check from PayPal and they send it to me in St. Vincent, I cannot cash that check, or is it that PayPal won't send that check?
No, PayPal doesn't even collect the money.
Exactly.
Okay.
Money.
Okay. Right. So this is one of the challenges that I know a number of persons, a number of countries face. Jamaica being one of the larger markets, don't have that problem, but we have another problem, which is fraud. We have a very high culture of fraud here, which makes it difficult for a lot of payment gateway providers to settle properly in this market. But I understand where you're coming from. Now, the good thing about it, guys, is that, and I want to drive this message home. I want to drive this message home to everybody here that, e-commerce is not only about payments. As I mentioned before, there are different payment methods that we can use to close the sale. Bank transfer is an electronic payment method that supports e-commerce adequately when in lieu of proper payment gateways not being placed. And I'm going to share an example with you guys. I want to share an example with Rosette because she has a very good problem to solve, right? There's a store here in Jamaica. I don't remember the name of it. My wife mentioned it to me recently based on an experience that she has been having with them. And the experience is this. The person posts their available stock on their social media page, and they post the price, and they stock only a limited amount every single time. But because the quality is so great and the clothes look so good, people oftentimes rush to get the product from that particular supplier. Because of this grand rush, you find that people are going above and beyond to get access to these products before they run out. So somebody sees the product posted, it was because they've done business with the person before, they have the person's bank account information, they jump online, send the person the money, and then they send them a text, hey, I just sent you $10,000 for this product. Please reserve it. I'm coming to pick it up in the morning. They are not waiting to visit the store in the morning to pick it up because they know that if they wait until tomorrow, they're not gonna get it. So when my wife decides, oh, I'm gonna go to the store tomorrow because they just posted this last night. By the time she reaches the store in the morning, the product is gone, right? No, that poses a problem for the shop owner because she's saying that people are crazily just sending their monies, and sometimes she have to send the money back because she have more subscribers than they have more buyers than products to sell. In your case, where you have a similar experience where your product is in high demand, what you can do is to actually use an e-commerce website, simple order management system for persons to order product from you when it becomes available. Also, to create back orders so that you sell products before they even become available. Or maybe let's say, for instance, you have a design that you're working on. Rosette, everything that you do is handmade, right?
Yes, it is.
All right, so you have a design that is coming out. You do the design, you have the mock-up, it looks great. Or maybe you've made even the first piece and you take some pictures. You put up that picture, maybe you make your first 10 batch, but you also allow persons to order. You understand? So right away, and you know, I heard you mention the challenge of having cash flow issues, having to source materials, you know, the different nuances that come with doing business in your territory and so forth. But you could literally use these pre-orders to fund the creation of the products that persons want from it. So if you have a product that is in such great demand that, you know, as soon as you make it, it is gone, you have a very good problem, and you can use e-commerce, not going the full 9 years of having a payment gateways, but just having the online ordering system when people check out. I'm trying to find an example. I know there are quite a few design. Just give me a second. JA.com. Let's see if this is the one. I'm trying to find a website that we did very recently for a client here in Jamaica who does the very same thing. For some reason it's not coming up. I'm going to look for it again. But in a sense, as I said here, once you put it up on your website, then one, you're able to manage the amount of orders that come in. You won't oversell, and you're able to actually do pre-orders, collect monies up front for the stock that is to be made, and then fulfill the orders thereafter. Does that make sense for you, Rosette?
Yes, it does, because that is one of the things. The business is owned by my sister and I. That's one of the things we were discussing when we realized we might not be able to collect money through the website. We're saying put catalog, do pre-orders, and we're interested in doing subscriptions also with like boxes of different, like a combination of the products and so on. So that makes a lot of sense to me.
Right. And you know, it's good that you're thinking along the lines of subscription, because again, an online ordering platform, you know, would be able to turn on these different subscription components to allow persons to you to automatically manage the subscriptions. You get where I'm coming from? So you don't need to go the full 9 yards of having an e-commerce store set up with payment gateway and doing the whole works for you to be able to leverage what e-commerce can do for your business. At your stage, you will do what we call like an entry-level e-commerce system. You just want the sales platform that captures the sale and manages all of the things, different activations that you want. So whether it is you want to do pre-orders, if it's that you want to have subscriptions where maybe you have something coming out, say maybe every quarter, for example. I know persons who subscribe to buy quotes every month. Again, I know somebody who does it overseas where they pay like $20 per month or something like that to be a part of a list. Person sends you a lookbook with different styles every single month, and then from there you can choose to buy. Saves you, the female or the person, the headache of trying to put together different styles, mix and match, because we're not stylists. We just have a good sense of fashion, but it does take time to put together all these pieces, search through the internet, find the pieces that match and support. Having a subscription where persons subscribe to a monthly lookbook, and then from that you choose to buy. You can. I know somebody else again as well who did something similar, where every single month they will say, all right, how much can you afford? And they'll say, all right, we can afford to spend, let's say, for instance, €100 per month on clothes. And females, I know females shop like this, where they just want to have continuous flow of fresh wares in their closet, and they come into this monthly spend, and the person will again send them a catalog of all the things that they can get for that $100, or they can pick which ones they want, come to the $100, and that's it. So there are different ways to execute against something like this. And again, having your e-commerce website, in your case, the e-commerce website is really acting as a product catalog and an ordering tool. That is it. Also, of course, giving persons your payment instructions. You have less conversations with persons. You need less administrative support. Persons are able to order overnight while you're in bed. You get me? These are some of the benefits to taking a practical approach. So don't be turned off by the challenge of collecting payment in your particular country at this point in time. Using the other elements of what an e-commerce website has to offer can do a lot for your business. All right.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. April, let's hear a little bit about your business, and what you're looking to do where e-commerce is concerned, or how do you see e-commerce helping you in your business right now?
Okay, good morning, everyone. So my business is Inspirations Beauty Treats, and we manufacture all natural hair and skincare products. So as it relates with e-commerce, okay, so right now, I need to get my website up and going, because I tried out different creating blogs on different sites, as well as stores, just to see the run-ins and how it'll go and stuff like that, right? But I need to be able, I don't know what is the steps, for example. I'm seeing that you will get a domain and then you choose the hosting, but I already have a blog on WordPress, and all of them syncs with WordPress. But the thing is that you still have to have a plan with WordPress to connect it. So what I'm wondering is that if it is, I get a blog from GoDaddy and then I get a hosting from Namecheap, how can I, would I still have access to WordPress blog, since on Namecheap they utilize the kind of merging with WordPress? I'm not too sure about that. Or should I just get a plan on WordPress, and they have a option with a free domain, but that option though, you're not really getting much with it, and then you have to get a really big package to get a lot of the other benefits in comparison to Namecheap. So I need some help with that, because it's still going pretty well, but I have an issue with sharing it out, and it's not the site itself. And then in addition to that, I've gotten hacked this month, April, this month, or March month.
While on Namecheap, right?
Hello?
While using Namecheap as your host?
Just now, sorry, I cannot. Can you repeat?
Yeah, what did it happen while using Namecheap as your host?
Oh, no. Well, no, what happened is I stopped after we had the sessions on security. I stopped sharing blogs, and I'll have just taken some context and posted on Instagram and Twitter. However, it's my Instagram that got hacked. I don't know how. It wasn't a major way, just some crypto thing, and then I changed everything. And then I also have I have many questions, but especially with security, because after going through that, I'm like, oh my gosh. So I need some information on that, because I really want to get the website up and running. I already have everything to fill it out, because as I said, I did makeshift sites. I also, to generate more revenue, the products are available in Trinidad and Tobago. But in Tobago, I've been doing certain type of advertising, because it doesn't have, persons not really thinking about Tobago in a big way. So I do things like highway signs, and instead of just having my number, and yes, I do have the Facebook link, but I want to have the website. So I want to have the website, and I want to have, in addition to that, on my numbers. But I just want to do it, take the right steps and have it as secure as possible. And I'm also, working on creating games and all gifts and I'm posting everywhere, so everything is out there. So I really want to work on the security as well. And another question is that, so like to post, I know there are like apps or sites where you could post from like Plannable and post to all your social media just to make it easier. Now the question is, do you all recommend that? Like, is that more liable to get hacked? And if you get hacked, I mean, I have access to everything. But I mean, to save time, because it's a one-person show in a kind of way, to save time, do you all recommend that? And what is the measures that could be put in place? And I
Okay.
also have another question about pricing, because I know you all said we have to know what our markets are, right? But the products are available at distributors locally. And I am going to have to raise the price after doing the whole cost and pricing thing, because there are many things that I left out. However, the price, like how do I charge these people these prices when it's already available there? And then, so that's why I want to have the e-commerce to target, you know, international customers like that. But what do I do? And then Tobago is another cost as well, you know, because it's a different form of promotion, a different amount of expenses to incorporate with the products. But the products are priced higher there and they usually pay more. But then now, if I added more than how it is there, you know. So what do you all recommend?
Okay, a person's buying at that increased price from Tobago.
Sorry?
A person's buying from at that increased price still.
Yeah, they're still buying it at the well, like already they were automatically placed at a higher price. So they do buy from that. One of these stores have it at an even higher price that I wouldn't have thought about. I thought person being at 1, 2, you know, but they're buying it. But the price for me, I think it's kind of like a cap, because they usually pay a lot. Maybe there's room for probably about $10 more. So, but I want to know, like, how do I work around my prices? And then if I'm having my website and I'm sharing it and persons in Trinidad seen it on the website, like, how do I just try to convey information to go to Pennywise and go to the pharmacies locally, or if not, just pay for the price that it is on the site, or what it is? And do I have a separate price? Because as I said, the local markets competition price is different than those e-commerce online, everybody who's online, that's a whole different price. And so I'm not sure what you could say.
So April has quite a number of questions, yes. Let me start with the beginning. I'm sure Gilbert may have some insight on your pricing. Let me start with the first elements of what you mentioned earlier, where your hosting and your domain and all of this stuff is concerned. I'm sharing my screen now and I'm on GoDaddy's website, right? So there are many different registrars of domains, and there are also quite a few different options for hosting your website. Now, GoDaddy, what I like about GoDaddy provides it a very easy way to get what you need up and running. So one of the things that you can do when you're buying your domain from GoDaddy is that you can also purchase the website hosting and also the WordPress installation on that hosting. How it works is that whenever you buy a domain, you have to get a web host to which you connect the domain, and then you have to install WordPress in what they call the cPanel. cPanel is the most common. I'm getting some feedback. Is it April's mic still unmuted?
Andrea, I think it's Andrea.
Okay, I'm also gonna ask you to mute for me, please, while we speak until you have right. Yeah, man. So again, just explaining how this works. So you have the purchasing of the domain, which you can get from GoDaddy. You can also get the web hosting, which can be done through a Namecheap or otherwise. But you see, for non-technical persons, I would encourage that if you can keep everything in one place, it may be easier and better for you. Also, GoDaddy has this little contact us button here at the bottom that you can click on to get live support when you are purchased from them. So you can literally just go in, buy the things that you need. So you can buy the domain, buy the hosting, get the WordPress set up, and ask the GoDaddy to complete the configuration for you, right? Once you have the WordPress set up, then after that, it's just a matter of adding your theme to your website. What's a theme? Let me show an example of what a theme is. So here I have Kim's Beauty, a basic working example that we will work on throughout the next 5 weeks. So we're going to literally build out Kim's Beauty on this theme. This theme is called Shopkeeper, one of my most preferred WordPress. One of my most preferred WordPress themes. We're going to be building it out. But in essence, after you purchase your domain, you set up your web host, and you install WordPress, the next step would be to install your theme. And once you have your theme set up, then you can actually start adding things like products. You have different blog layouts and stuff. So you mentioned you're writing blogs are already great things that you are already on WordPress. You are already creating content which will help your website to rank. It's just no matter of how do you tie back your blogging to your product pages, right? So one of the things I always tell a person that if you sell a product on your blogging, always backlink into your products. What do I mean by backlinking? Backlinking is when you see a blog with links, whether it be an image, a video, just text on the line, just to define maybe a word or something that it brings you back to a particular product page or maybe another blog. What that does, it provides more value to the customer in terms of providing more information when it is that you're defining something or demystifying something, or you're actually selling something where you're bringing them back to your product page, right? So having the blog already in place is good. Being on WordPress is good. As I mentioned before, WordPress is the platform that I do all my developments on, because as a Caribbean business, it is the platform that integrates the best within our Caribbean ecosystem, right? So we're going to encourage you to stay on the path of WordPress. You can use GoDaddy, as I said, to get your domain set up, get your hosting set up, get your WordPress installed. If you need to have that done, and GoDaddy will help you through their support to get as much of this done as is possible, right? So that's the element of your technical undertaking. Where security is concerned, as I see here again, WordPress does provide the SSL security, which is the first level of security. So when you go on any website, there's this lock icon, and it tells that the website is secure. Is their first layer of internet security that every single e-commerce website that is operating should have. Once you're going to be integrated with a payment gateway, they will mandate that you have this. So again, you're seeing right away that you can get the main things that you need from GoDaddy. I would not take GoDaddy's website design services because they're going to give you a website on a template that is owned by GoDaddy, not a WordPress-based template. It's going to limit your integration capabilities into the ecosystem. Again, this is the reason why we're encouraging persons to use WordPress. But the SSL is the only additional thing that I would recommend that you get as part of that setup. So you'd buy the domain, the hosting, the WordPress setup, and your security certificate. And once you have that in place, it's just a matter of setting up the theme that you want and adding your products and so forth, right? So that's your technical undertaking. Now, as it relates to your pricing strategy, first thing I would say is that what you're doing now is wholesaling, right? You're selling your products at a cheaper rate to the retailers. Retailers are going to mark that up and put that price point out there. Now, when you set up your website, you have to determine who are you selling to through your website, or are you going to be selling to all of your market segments on your website? So you can choose to say, all right, I'm going to set up my website as a retail outlet only to the end customer, end user, for them to buy the product. And at that point, you can determine to price your product in line with what your retailers are pricing. So you make far greater margins, right? And you just promote your website to your end users while still getting your shelf spaces at retailers. Now, if you choose to go that route, then you would not advertise your retailers on your websites, unless it is that there's a strategy around linking your retail partners to your website, but you don't necessarily want to create competition per se. But I know that sometimes there are some customers who are just more comfortable shopping offline than they are online, especially in a space where, you know, e-commerce is still relatively new. There are still a lot of adoption needed, where trends are and comfort is concerned, where shopping online and also trust is concerned. So if you are experiencing that, you may want to list your store locations where persons can go and buy it in store, right? Whether or not that store is cheaper or more expensive than you. Or you could say, I'm gonna just have this as a retail outlet directly for my brand. And, you know, once you're coming to the website, then you're gonna buy directly from me at that increased price point, right? Then you can also look at the alternative as well, which is having a retail website with the ability to buy wholesale, where you buy in bulk. And if you purchase the product in bulk, then you get a reduced price point based on the volume that you purchase. So let's say, for instance, you have a price point that you sell at if persons buy 10 versus 20 versus 50. You know, you could choose to do that. Generally, I find that unless it's overseas, most retailers, most businesses buy from people, not necessarily from a website, unless it is that you have instilled a process into your relationship with your customers where they go to the website and buy from you from your website. But most time B2B is done through people. So somebody's gonna pick up the phone, call somebody, hey, I need X amount of this, right? And you can determine whether you process it through the website or you process it independently. I always try to encourage persons to keep one operations if you're doing that, but it at least allows you to serve your two market segments through your website, right? And let even retailers know that, hey, if I really love this product, I can get it in bulk. You know, maybe I buy it once for the year and buy 10, you know, just saying. So those are some considerations that I would actually leave with April where that is concerned. Gilbert and anybody that don't know if you have any other ideas for April around how she may manage price, and, you know, there's that difference between her listing in retail versus her listing online. If there are any comments or thoughts at this point, we invite them.
So I'm sorry, with April, I stepped away for a short time, so I missed the bulk of what you were saying about your challenge with prices. If you could repeat that for me, I'll be happy to give you my 2 cents.
Sure. Okay. So some of the challenges I'm facing with pricing is that, one, I definitely need to increase the price. Two, the price increase, it's well, based on the market that I have currently at the distributor outlets, it's way a lot less than the price increase. But the thing is, I do have customers who usually purchase them. So I was wondering how my pricing would have went versus the distributors online. And as well as I was mentioning that I also have the products available at Tobago. They do pay a higher price rate because everything is a little more expensive. So they are kind of closer to the price range, but still not quite there. So I was just wondering how I would have included it on my website. And I was asking if it is I should have just included retailer. It's like the option that they can still get it there. But how could I still get it at a more reasonable price locally at the retailers, like Solar will be buying it at a wholesale price. Sorry, at the distributors, since the distributors will be purchasing sales and the retailer, the persons will go there to get it. Or how do I include it on my website as well?
Okay, so I'm going to try to rephrase exactly what you said. You have a product that you're selling at a particular price at a retail rate, but you also sell this product to distributors at a wholesale rate. But these distributors will now resell at a higher price than you typically would retail it for?
No, well, I usually set the retail price, which is a bad price either way, but I am the one who usually, however, locations, especially in Tobago, they have set it at a higher price than recommended and persons to purchase it. But they also have the type of persons who go there are willing to spend more because they know the prices, everything there will cost a lot more.
Okay, so there are some things that you can do in terms of, and I'm not sure that you would want to. Like if you want your product to remain at a particular price, you could always have that agreement, that arrangement with your wholesalers and your distributors to say, I want my products to retail at this particular price. But I don't see the reason why you would do that, right? And especially if you get in a certain amount of sales from your retailers and from your wholesalers, and they can resell it at whatever price they want. As long as you're satisfied with the prices that you're getting from your distributors, that's fine. In terms of on your website, your pricing should always reflect, as we discussed before, right? It should always meet the needs of your business, right? But secondly, pricing is a trust thing. If you have to regularly change your prices on your website, and this week you have one price, and then if you have an actual retail location where you're selling at one price, and on your website, your personal website, you're selling at a different price, you begin to create a trust issue between yourself and your consumers, and you don't want that. So properly figuring out where your price should be and having that consistent in across all of your channels, not your distributors' channels, but your sales channels. You could always explain to customers why your prices on your website and the distributors' prices are those prices wherever they retail their product, right? So for your channel, your prices should be consistent. Now, for your market, like you would say, well, I have a local market and then I have an international market. How do I create, because if I sell this product at an international market, and then I had to cater for all these additional processes to sell in that particular channel, then my prices would be different for the overseas market than it is for the local market. So you have to look at things like, do I bundle products for the overseas market only? So let's say I'm buying a product from you that I really like, and that product is $15. And then I take into consideration what the shipping cost is for me as a consumer. It may not be worth it buying just one. But if you bundle in, let's say 5, 6 of these things together and you say, well, these are for the export market, you do not sell these products bundled on the local market. You make that a policy. I don't. So 6 of these together for the export market. So now, we're looking at what? A $90 package that's going overseas. And then I will look at the shipping costs and I'm buying 6 of these. I'm saying, that makes sense to me. As a consumer, I can buy that package. And one of the things that we discussed earlier, I don't know if you remember this, is just the way that you label your products for a local market, label and size your products for local market and for export market. So you could always say you could change the color. Let's say you're doing, what's your product? What exactly is your product?
Products, so I have hair moisturizers, butter.
Hair moisturizers. Right. So you could change the labeling and the sizing of those products, right? And you could say, my size for the local market is an 8-ounce product, and the particular label that is on it is, let's say you have a blue and green label. I'm just, you know what your label looks like. But for the export market, I'm only creating a 16-ounce, and my labels for these are actually gold and black. Right? So there's a distinction. So you try to create this subtle distinction in the products that are available locally and the export market, and change the prices based on those labeling. So those are 2 strategies. One is bundling for the export market, or just creating a different product size and labeling for the export market, right? Eventually, you're going to get to a place, once your product is good and you have invested in your business and your marketing, you're going to get to a state where you're going to find yourself warehousing and distributing those products, those international products from the international market. For us, we have the advantage of doing things like, let's say a visitor is coming to my website from the United States. I understand I could change the products that this person sees based on their IP address. I have the ability to do that. You would eventually have the ability to do that once you're growing your business properly. And then 2, you would also have the ability, once you're growing your business properly, to warehouse and distribute certain products out of the United States or out of international markets. But for now, I would say 2 solutions. 1, bundling your products for exportation, and 2, because it makes sense for you and for the consumer buying these bundles as opposed to a single package, a single product. And 2, just resizing based on that market. Any other questions along that line?
I have two suggestions as well.
Okay, wonderful. This
One,
is, okay,
Andrea, she
Andrea,
may,
go ahead.
yeah, you may choose to pull your products from the market for a while. And sometimes it's a hard decision, but scarcity sometimes bring demand or help you to assess the nature of the demand of your product. I'm not suggesting either of these. I am stating options, right? Secondly, there is also more on the line of bundling is also to include a little sample size of another product, not the exact product that they're purchasing, but they're in a nice container or pouch or packaging that includes a little sample size or travel size. And you can go, that would entitle you to go a little bit above your new and more relevant price. So you take into consideration the cost to produce the travel size or the sample size and the of the other product, which will also be generating interest, engagement, testing, the ability to test this additional product. So maybe they would be able to buy both of them the next time. And so that would also increase the price of the product. The next in line is also to pair with another colleague that has another product. For example, you may not have face scrubs, the actual scrub, but you have the wash, the face wash. So if you have a partner that has the face scrub, or if you can purchase, they have them bulk with the face scrub, that is a small price, and you will still, and the customer will still see renewed value from the product.
Gilbert. Hi, Gilbert.
Yes, Roland,
Hey,
go ahead.
go ahead, Roland.
Yeah, I just want to make a contribution. I don't know it might be appropriate, but I think it's something similar. A client called me and they wanted a book for some birthday presents, and I showed them what I have. But I let them know that I had already cut it a lot, but I only started working with some bigger size. However, they look at what I was showing them, and then we talk about it, and then they said to me, well, I asked them a few questions, and then they said to me that it's an executive type individual. So I say, well, okay, then I will give you an executive type product that you can give to the celebrant. And then they said to me, well, okay, even though it might be beyond the date, it can still happen. So I would make for that, because you were making some reference to that earlier on. I would make something of executive standard for an individual, a female individual, but I would not just make one, because I know it will sell, so I will make a little, just more than one. But not only that, I will also make the packaging that goes with it, complement it, so that will bring satisfaction to the individual. And I thought it was a very good idea to do it that way, and so on. So going back to the other business partner, that yes, you can make product and split the design, so you have certain product for certain groups of people or clientele, and you have certain products at lower end and some at higher end, but you still keep your standard, for that. You want people to know that this is the kind of thing that your product that you have to offer.
That's actually brilliant, right, Roland? But here's the thing: she now has to translate exactly what you just said into a space where there may not be a phone call. So, like, you had the ability to communicate with that person. So she has to translate that into a website where where you give that person the option for customization for that particular reason, right? So that they can meet the exact needs that you happen to have discussed on the phone. Just imagine that you have 100 customers calling you to make that kind of decision. It could be overwhelming. So how do you now translate that? She now has to find an expert who could translate that conversation into actual options when they're actually buying the product. Brilliant idea. The translation now has to take place.
Thank you. Do have customers who orders customized sizes, extremely bigger sizes than usual, and me, or who may not want fragrance, or they may allergic to fragrances, stuff like that. But thank you. I understand what you all are saying.
Don't, and April, don't assume for a second that your time here is limited. You, as I said, you always have the option to reach out to us outside of this space if it isn't very clear, and if you need further clarification, help, and guidance. All right.
Thank you.
Give thanks. Leighton, back to you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for that. Thanks for that discourse, guys. You know, and I love what I'm hearing. I want to remind us that it is important for us to be very clear with ourselves and our customers how we sell our products and services. You know, I heard they mention a while ago about, you know, the customized book and the process that was explored to arrive at a suitable product for the customer. You know, sometimes it requires more than us looking and ordering. Sometimes it requires, you know, requesting information from a customer as part of the sales process. But one of the things that we don't want to find ourselves doing too much of is talking to persons who are not buying, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So one of the things that you can do as part of your sales process is to present the standard version of the product with a questionnaire attached to that, and it can be on the product page. I did something like this once upon a time for Ocean Brian Fitness, join OP Fitness. I'm gonna just double check to see if he still has those products up. But there was literally a questionnaire because he provided fitness services, and for his fitness service, he wants to know, you know, if you have any ailments, if you have any special needs. There's a questionnaire behind the purchase of each product. So you can actually have something like that in place where on the product page, you know, you make it very clear that, hey, this is a standard product, but if you want customization, these are the areas for customization. Maybe you can get a different size, different color, and you know, you can present those options on the website for persons to select. And then if it is that, you know, maybe you want to add text. So for instance, in the case of a birthday present for a journal, for a book, you know, you may want to have an inscription on that, and you know, you can charge more for that. So there are different ways, guys, of how we can execute your e-commerce strategy to match your operating strategy as well, you know, the way how you sell your products. And we have to be very clear about that, guys, when we are creating our e-commerce websites, because at the end of the day, what we want is a website that mirrors that process hand in hand. All right. Caribbean trainers, you still have your hands up. You have had something else. Rosette, do you have anything else that you wanted to ask or say, both of you? Or did you just leave your hands up? Just checking. Caribbean trainers.
No,
Okay, good. Caribbean trainers, do we have anything else that you wanted to say or ask? Just checking.
No, thank you very much. Are we to put on our hands after we have expressed e-commerce?
Yes. Once you've asked your question or stated what you want to state, then you put it down. And if you want to go again, then you put it back up. You know, because we'll
right.
put it up hand to hand, and
Okay.
we want to always, you know who is next.
Thank you.
You know, no problem. All right. So just going back again to our workbook, guys, for e-commerce. Again, I want to drive home Kim's Beauty. And what I want to exemplify here more than anything that is coming out of the conversations that we're having is that there are different types of systematic needs to meet our sales process. You understand? Some of us sell very simple products. Is it that I want it or I don't want it? Or I want this size, this color, this style, and that is it. For some of us, it's a little bit more complicated. For some of us, we may require something to collect information about the customer's request. Sometimes it may be required to offer customization for that particular person. At the end of the day, guys, keep in mind that there's nothing wrong with a process that includes a conversation with the client. But at the end of the process, or at some point in the process, there's a submission of order, a submission of intent to buy, an expression of interest that comes through your website, whether it is done by the customer themselves or even by you in the backend interface of the system. And I just want to quickly share with you what I mean by this. So you'll have seen me here share earlier the template that we're going to be using for Kim's Beauty, right? And again, this is a template I use for many websites that I work on, right? And the same way how somebody can come to the shop page and browse. Oh, I think that shows probably the wrong shop page here. Well, now let me get another one. Let's use this one and see. All right, so for some reason, I'm not seeing the products. Okay, let's try this one. Here we go. All right, so let's see how somebody would browse to your shop page, guys, right? And you come on your person, click on the product to maybe get a quick view. Or maybe they go the whole line as a clicking on the product and adding it to cart, right? And checking out. It's the same way how you as an administrator can have a conversation with a customer over the phone and still put in the orders on your backend, right? So this is the backend interface of the system. Then next few weeks we'll be going deeper into these interfaces and what they look like, right? But this is an example of what we use to build the Get Paid engine that we mentioned earlier when showing an example of what you can get as an e-commerce system. But literally, you can come here to the backend and add your own order to your own customer. So you can choose your date and time, choose the particular customer. If it's a guest, then we have it as a guest. You can have this the order status, so whether it is somebody just placed an order and we need to generate the invoice and send them the payment instruction. All of this can be done on the back end. So I say this to say that based on your process, if it is that your process requires a conversation with the customer, some of the times we can have that conversation with the customer and then send them to the website to go and put on the order. Or maybe you can confirm the order with the customer even on the phone call and put it in for them. And they will get their automatic emails, every single thing being sent to them. But I'm saying all of this to say that we have to be mindful of our different processes, different sales processes that the sale has to go through in order for us to close the sale. Sometimes we have to complement it with offline activities for it to make sense or for it to work based on our business model. For example, in my case, every single customer who comes to me has to have an assessment done where I meet with them and provide a quotation. That's a key part of my sales process. If that doesn't happen, there is no sale. Right? And because of that, I can't take the normal approach. I have to listen to a product on a website and expect it to sell. I have to bring them through my process. Similarly, here to Kim's Beauty, we talked about a different revenue stream. Normally, this would be a different types of product areas or different ways for you to sell the different things that you do sell. In the case of Kim's Beauty, she sells products, she sells appointments, she sells courses, she sells bridal packages which require quotations, right? She's using the same website domain, kimsbeauty.com, and she puts /bookings for her appointments, /products for her shop store, /courses for courses, /quotes for any service that requires quotation. And this is an example. You could choose /bridal package for argument's sake, if you want to do it that way, right? So we have a unique area on the website to cater to each business area or each way of selling. So we don't sell products the same way we sell appointments, and so we have to have it on a separate area of the website. It's the same website, you know, guys. We're not building 4 different websites, one website, right? But we're having 4 different areas based on the needs for Kingsmead. I'm seeing here in the conversation where we have persons who are manufacturing things, but also retailing. Why? Because you want multiple revenue streams, multiple ways to earn, right? You want to also hedge one thing against the next. So maybe today one thing is working, tomorrow another thing is working based on season or just based on popularity and otherwise, right? So when you're setting up your website, you want to be mindful of that, how you structure the display of your catalog and what it is that you have to sell and what processes are needed behind that sales model. We talked earlier about, you know, the hosting when April was asking about her hosting setup. Typically for most persons, as I say, you buy your domain from a domain provider. GoDaddy is the most popular one. Then you get your hosting. A lot of domain providers are now offering hosting, and also a lot of hosting providers are also offering domain registration, so you can do everything in one place, you know. So maybe in the case of individuals who are trying to do things themselves, try to get everything in one place. Don't get the domain over here, get the hosting over there and so forth. It can become quite complicated, and you don't have the expertise to move things around and do things that you need to. Once you start talking about having a domain over here and hosting over there, then you becoming quite technical, and you'd have to hire somebody like me or Gilbert to support you in that regard. Once you're a do-it-yourself, try to get everything within one setup, which is one of the things that make things like Wix and Shopify and so forth attractive. Issue with these platforms against the integratability within our ecosystem, right? Security, from a security perspective, keep in mind that, you know, once you're doing business online, you're collecting customer data, you're collecting transactional data, you're processing credit cards. You must have at minimum an SSL certificate as part of your website to tell people that it is secure and safe. Also, just to secure it as well. The lesson your the possibility for breaches and all those things, right? We heard them talk about WordPress as, you know, the content management system of choice for Caribbean businesses. But again, if you're a do-it-yourself, no budget and you want to get up and running with one of those cheap turnkey solutions, you have your Wix, you have your Shopify, and these platforms that you can choose to fill out. So we want you guys to be filling this up, guys, so you know exactly what you're doing and be very clear, right? So when we're on our next session, we're going through different fields of things, you can ask more relevant questions related to your sales process and how it is that you show up online in that particular way, right? That's one of the key things that I want to get out of this track, you know, getting you guys to show up online in the way how you sell your products and services offline, right? Here we talk about, you know, listing a number of products that you have to sell. You want to be very clear about this because some of us may have business that have many products. If we have 1,000 products, how do we launch our website tomorrow? With that consideration, maybe it is that we have to bring on things in phases. Maybe we bring them on 10 at a time, 20 at a time. You know, you have to plan for these things. So you want to know what your product count is and how many different individual SKUs of products you have. Because when I say how many products you have, we don't mean how much you have in stock. You know? I mean how many SKUs, how many unique products do you carry? So if you carry a blue shirt, you carry that blue shirt in short sleeve, sleeveless, long sleeve. Each one is the individual SKU, right? And when you are setting up products on the back end of your, okay, but I was trying to find when I set up products on the back end of your system, you will see that all of these considerations are in place, right? Keeping in mind that when you're setting up products, you can set up different types of products, right? So just bring it up here. So this is where I typically come to create products. To create a product name, you put in your description, you put in your product information, so you can put in a regular price, you can put in a sale price, right? You can have a scheduled sale where let's say, for instance, you're having a sale for 2 weeks and you schedule that sale and automatically comes out. So you don't have to remember, oh, I need to take that product off sale, right? Or before we even get into pricing, you need to understand the types of products that you're selling. So you heard Gilbert mention earlier about bundled and group products, right? You want to be very clear about that. You know, are you selling a bookable product? So because we're building this out for Kim's Beauty, we install a plugin that allows you to book any item that is in store. So we set up a bookable product separate from a single product. A single product would be just like your castor oil, a bottle that you buy off a shelf, right? A bookable product would be like, you know, booking a hair appointment with Kim's Beauty, right? And you have different types of products. You have variable products. You have products that have different makeup. So for instance, I mentioned earlier, you have your blue shirt, or you have a blue shirt in short sleeve, long sleeve, and sleeveless. These are products with different variations, and each variation is a SKU, individual SKU, right? You can even set up your products with SKU numbers and SKU numbers are unique identifiers for every single product, help you with stock taking and just tracking through your entire accounting system what is being sold and what is left, right? You can choose to manage your inventory levels with systems like these, whether it is, you say, all right, I want to give a stock alert whenever you know, stock quantity goes below a certain number. Say maybe say I stock 100 of something, and I want people to know that here I only have 10 left. So if you really want to buy it now. These are things that you can enable with a system like this, right? You're also able to set up virtual or downloadable products. There are different types of products that you can set up with different shipping rules. And if products are linked to each other, all of these things are, you know, you can get quite fancy with that type of setup. Of course, you know, you're able to also categorize your products. And we want to drive home this need again for persons who sell a lot of products. It is important to categorize your product. It is the reason why we can go on Amazon and search for a power saw and find it, right? It's the reason we can go on Amazon and click on baby and find everything related to baby, in whether it be clothes, shoes, toys, food, or otherwise. Categorizing products and having them clearly organized is very important. Normally, when we do something like this, we give persons an Excel sheet, and in that Excel sheet, the normal tell, all right, for each product, we're gonna include all the information in the rows going across. So each column, might have one column for name, one column for your product category. So we know exactly which category it is. And if there are subcategories of that, we want to know what the subcategory is so that we can have categories and subcategories being clearly outlined on the website, right? Let me see if this demo has it. All right, so okay, so this one does not have it. When we do Nickel's Beauty's website, we're gonna see it with a filter on the left hand side. Oh, but it has it up anyway. But the filter would have showed the hierarchy of, you know, parent categories and subcategories and everything that comes with that. So these are some of the considerations, guys, that you have to really think about when you're creating your e-commerce website. It's not mainly a lot of the work and the considerations behind it is not necessarily technical stuff, but more so just how you show up online. How are you organized? Because guess what? See, if you're not organized with the product categories, people are going to find the products, people are going to be frustrated. There's a store in Halfway Tree here in Kingston where things are so cheap, they don't even bother to put them on racks. They're left in barrels and boxes. And people go there, mainly females, you know, females are big bargain hunters and shoppers, right? They go through and they dig through a pile of all the products, and they dig and they dig and they dig and they dig till they find what they want. Now, me, you will never get me buying in that way, right? And you hear people talk about shopping experience, and that's something that supermarkets spend a lot of money on here in Jamaica, in giving persons different shopping experience. So the more premium supermarkets like the Price Mart, the Mega Mart, the big supermarket chains are very big on there and delivering a part of shopping experience. A part of delivering a shopping experience is, of course, having your products properly organized in different aisles. Aisles are numbered. You know exactly where to find what throughout the supermarket. So you're not frustrated, you don't spend an hour walking up and around trying to find one particular product. For that reason, a lot of times people don't even like to go to new supermarkets because you have to learn that supermarket all over again, you know. So it's a similar type of thing, guys. When persons land on your website, you don't want them to be having to look all over the place to find a product they want. You want them to be able to find out very easily. So having that clearly organized is extremely important where that is concerned, right? Just going back to our slide. And again, e-commerce system. So here let's see me talk about having a booking system for appointments, having a normal shopping cart for products, having a learning LMS means learning management solution for selling courses, and having a quotation tool for selling products that need a quotation. This is where a lot of us will see differentiation in our e-commerce setup in compared to each other. And we could be selling the very same product, but because our sales process is different, maybe our target market is different and it requires more support. You understand? You sell in a different way. And based on how you sell, you must have systems to support that sales process if you're going to scale your business to be supporting, tens or hundreds or thousands of customers at a time. Keep in mind, guys, that it's just one us. And as much as we want the money, we don't want to be stressed getting the money, right? We want to be successful business people, but we don't want to feel stressed doing it. Systems is what is going to make a difference between stress and no stress. So we have to be very clear about the processes that we need to embed in our business, or be very clear about how we currently operate offline and see how we can replicate that in an online way, right? Payment options. Payment continues to be a headache. Payment and logistics continue to be a headache for Caribbean businesses. But as I said, there are ways that we can leverage e-commerce in a simpler format that gives us an edge, nonetheless, in doing business. So when we consider payment options, let us not only consider credit card payments. Let's look at how it is that we can support cash if our business can, or we can support bank transfer. And if we are open to doing things like checks and Western Union money transfers and stuff like that, then we can embed things like that in your checkout process, right? It's literally the same as, the only difference is that with the credit card, the processing of the payment is done online in real time. With the other methods, persons have to make payment arrangements. But you can still execute a successful e-commerce strategy with non-credit card payment options. I've seen persons do it in COVID. It has worked and worked in many different ways, right? Similarly as well with fulfillment options, we have to be very clear about the type of product that we're selling. How are we going to fulfill it? Are we going to be using a bearer service because it is bearer friendly? Or is it that you're sending food to somebody and you want to manage the way how the food is carried? Maybe you're a wedding cake baker and the wedding cakes don't travel well by a bearer. You have to have more structure, maybe a more careful driver. Maybe it can go long distances. Maybe it is that you sell a product that requires frozen considerations for delivery. You can't use a regular bike man to send that, you understand? So these are things that you must be very clear about. Do you sell a product that has virtual access, where you're logging into access, like your course? Or are you selling a downloadable resource like an ebook or a digital asset that persons can access after buying? How do you provide that? Also, how do you manage, service delivery to your customers? You're dealing with 100 customers came into there, made an order for something, and you need to deliver a particular service. How do you manage and track all of that? Ensure that each customer is getting what they need, what they want in the way that they need it. Is very important to consider. So, guys, if you have not filled out this workbook, for this particular module, we're going to encourage you to do so. It's very important to be very clear with yourself, so that you can be clear with your customers how you want to set up. And if you need multiple systems, just put a comma and put the other system beside it, right? Sometimes we need complementary systems to come together to provide the experience that we want to do. Is ensure, however, that it is done in a way that is not confusing to you nor the customer. All right. Any questions before we jump over to the final track? And we spend quite a bit of time because majority of us are in this group. But any questions, any more questions?
We do have one announcement that we want to make before we jump over to the other track. This is something that Philip, in the chat, there is a link shared by Andrea and I think shared by someone else. Could be that Andrea shared both. Yeah, I think Andrea shared both for the OECS Women's Empowerment program. So if anyone in the group wants to register for that, here's a link in the chat to it. You can register. Today's a deadline for registering. I can't be entirely sure what all the benefits are, but this program is designed to help women MSMEs in the Caribbean. All right, so check it out and see whether it's something that it's worth investing your time in.
It's a grant. It's a grant, so it's investment that doesn't need to be repaid. And they are investing over $3 million for your region. So
excellent.
It's pretty good and it's worth the pain. I don't know the process, but one thing is for sure. It's highly likely that it's complicated to complete. It's highly likely that it's a pain and you're going to be annoyed. It's highly likely that you're going to have to dig up for some records in order to put in some data. But it's imperative that you have that you know the time, the actual time of the cutoff, that you correspond to send a mail to the email address immediately and say, I am interested and will be submitting a bid. Even if it says what time it is, you still ask them what time and time zone, simply to have your name registered in their database. And it's something to do immediately and to look carefully. If 2 of you are doing the bid, that's even better. So during the submission, it's important that we use grants. Lots of grant monies go away in the region, go back in the region. Doesn't happen to Latin America, doesn't happen to Africa. We need to use our grants. Suffer and apply.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andrea. It's important, right? And again, it goes towards the challenges that a lot of us are facing. Lack of financial resources. So even the BSOs within the space, if you didn't know about this before, this is an opportunity for you to reach out to your firms and have them apply to these things as quickly as possible.
All right, thanks for that. I saw a message in the chat from my personal chat from Philip saying that the deadline cutoff is actually today. So as I've heard Andrea say, express interest immediately if you can. Andrea, this is for women only, correct?
Women only.
Okay. So women, I know there's a lot of initiatives out there for you. Females need a lot of special consideration as an entrepreneur. Take advantage of all that you can that's available, especially where money is concerned. The biggest headache for small business in the Caribbean is funding. Nobody has free money. We all should take advantage of it. So we're gonna echo that sentiment. All right, thanks for that plug. We're gonna jump over to our third track, which talks about promotion of e-commerce businesses. So for today, we're just going over some of the workbook related areas that are important for consideration as we get more and more into it next week and going forward. We're gonna be doing more hands-on, opening up interfaces, looking at the back end of things, looking at how it is that we put together campaigns. Just real world examples of how we execute different things, right? So we're gonna ask again for persons who are in the third track to just put your hands up, please. Once you've placed yourself in the chat for promoting an e-commerce existing e-commerce business or existing business. Please, we're going to ask to put your hand up at this point in time. We're going to be addressing directly some of your concerns. So we have 2 already. Please keep the hands coming. We want to hear from you and to get directly into some of the things that are impacting your business and just what it is that you need from this segment of the discourse and the program to benefit you. So we're gonna start first and foremost. I'll say here before I get into the question, just to let you know that you know that for this section, it's really focusing on how it is that we generate leads. So you'd have already gone through the thought process of, all right, how am I going to structure this business? What do I need from an e-commerce perspective? All right, so I have that now. How do I get customers? How do I keep existing customers coming back? How do I scale? How do I enter new markets? How do we promote this business? I know that's where all of us eventually want to get to. So I know this information is relevant for even persons who are at the ideation phase of our setup. Let's start with Roland Benjamin. Roland, quickly tell us about your business and what are some of the needs that you have right now as it relates to promoting your business from an e-commerce perspective.
Yes, well, I did state it before that that I have a website, but in a sense that most of the things, unfortunately, most of the things that on the website presently is not available because I continue to make new stocks, and some of those stocks has been depleted and so on. So as I make new stock, I intended to put all those things as much as possible, new things up, for view and for selling. Well, I basically as a visual artist specialize in these areas. Whatever I do, I refer to it as art. I make the books, the journals, and I also make the paper, some of the paper that I used in a mix of paper because of the cost of the paper, of making paper, and also bringing in good paper from, I actually bring in good paper, the paper that I really need to put into the journal from Trinidad. So I imported as, specific kind of paper from Trinidad to include and mix with the handmade paper, to be able to sell it at a reasonable price, which I referred to, even though, yeah, I have a special niche area of that kind of thing. But that is one of the things. Now, what I also do is that whatever is available in terms of like natural material, I also involve it in making the book and creating those beautiful artwork on the surface of the book and in the interior of the book. So I use a lot of natural materials like wood, metal, materials from the sea and whatever is available that I used. So I make the books, but also added to that, just a minute, my battery on my computer shows me it is failing.
It's my computer, guys. It's fine.
Oh, that's yours?
It's fine. Apologies.
No, yeah, most likely not mine, it's yours. Yeah, yeah, so the one of the things that I encounter and I always have struggle with is the names. Okay, like for example, I use Happy Studio as my business name, and when I do a lot of research on the net, there is so much of names that of business that carry that names. So it's very difficult for me to establish create a website using that name. Okay. However, so I would keep that name as a business, but however, I have a brand name for the journals, and which I also intend to change, and all that is based on whatever comes out, from this workshop that we are doing, this training session that we are doing. I change the brand name of the books, of the journals, and so on. Which is a unique name that and I always hope to do that nobody else will be able, because when you look at the net, everything so far is just like as though it is just used up, and like everybody thinking the same thing, you know, the same way. So it's been very difficult to even, you know, do a brand name that you never encountered on the net. The other thing is that one of my other problem also is content, always having to provide proper content,
Right.
you know, to put out there. So so that people are aware, you know, how I sell my product and how I reach people and you know, communicate with people and so on. But I think throughout this whole process of this thing, I've learned a lot and pick up a lot and so on. I mean, the thing is, when coming to writing, I'm a very lazy person in that area. You know, so that's one of the difficulties that I think. But I think, like, going forward, I really have to push myself somehow to do whatever is necessary to have my my business going and so on. But I you know, so
All right,
I don't
thanks.
know.
Thanks for that. And we have to keep it quick because we don't have a lot of time left. We have quite a few hands, right? But let's address those two things quickly. Brand name versus company name. Guys, I want us to be very clear in one thing where, you know, building our companies and our brands is concerned. There are many people who do it in many different ways. And, you know, we've seen many different versions of this being executed locally, regionally, internationally for different purposes. At the end of the day, your brand name does not have to be your company name. Your company is a independent entity.
Yeah.
That is registered with your company's registrar body in your country to say that you are licensed to operate and do business under this name. Now, your brand, you can have a company that carries many different brands. For example, here in Jamaica, you have Red Stripe Company, who sells Red Stripe products, sells Guinness, sells Heineken, sells many, they care about probably 20 to 50 different brands, right? And we see it with many manufacturing and especially distribution companies in different countries. And even within smaller entities where there's a parent company, but multiple brands under each company, right? It is okay to have a company name that you do not promote, but you have your brands that you promote. So what you want to do is that you want to ensure your brand name is unique to you. It's when it comes to internet marketing, you want to get your brand name in a URL that is ideally a .com. If not, there are others that you can work with, but ideally a .com. You want to also get your email address in that domain name as well, because your URL and your email address are two very important parts of your digital brand identity, right? I'll give you an example. My company's name before we did the transition was Mobile Edge Solutions. I could not get Mobile Edge Solutions or mobileedge.com, so I created getmobileedge.com. You know, as a kind of a call to action and part of the marketing of my business, and saying, hey, get Mobile Edge. You know, you need, get on board, get this thing, get your Mobile Edge. And eventually, and also, of course, my email was late not get Mobile Edge. And eventually people started to refer to my business and get Mobile Edge. I'm going to get Mobile Edge for this, or, I'm calling get Mobile Edge. People automatically started to identify the business based on the URL. So it's very important, guys, for us to get URLs that complement our business very well and strengthen the brand marketability of that. Also, you want to get all your socials in the same name as well. So when I got Mobile Edge, I got Get Mobile Edge Facebook, I got Get Mobile Edge Instagram, I got Get Mobile Edge LinkedIn. All right. I don't remember if I got Get Mobile Edge Twitter as well. I try to get everything, and when I'm choosing the name of my business or brand, the first thing I do, I register a URL, I run go get an Instagram page. Even though I have so many, I have so many registered URLs and Instagram pages just sitting and waiting for the businesses to mature or to come to fruition. Because I know that from I'm doing it online, this is a very important part of it. You understand? So that's a key consideration. Don't be afraid to create an independent brand that does not share the same business name. It is very common. Very common. I'll use the example of 6 p.m. and Zappos. Zappos is a popular shoe store in the US. 6 p.m. is like their clearance website. When things go out of style, out of season, they use 6 p.m. to sell it, right? I don't believe that 6 p.m. is a registered business, because even at the bottom of the 6 p.m. website, you see this company is owned by Zappos.com. If you look on your credit card statement when you make a purchase, you're going to see Zappos as the payment gateway owner of that transaction, right? So it is common for us to have brand names that are not our company names, right? So you can get very comfortable with that. Key thing, however, is to go to your copyright offices and just get your paperwork done to ensure that you can demonstrate ownership of the brand name, as Gilbert mentioned in a session some time ago. If you come up with a brand name, email it to yourself. That's an example of demonstrating ownership of a particular name, right? So feel free to do that. The next thing is producing content, guys. Producing content can be.
Before you jump, Leighton, let me just address some things there for Roland as well. I like what you did, but even when creating a brand name, you remember you're going to invest significantly in this brand name. So look around to see if that brand name that you're creating conflicts with any other name. You don't want that conflict either. So do that research as well. That's really, really important. And just like Leighton is saying, how much you know who owns Google? Google is not Google. Google is owned by a company called Alphabet. Very, very different, right? So just to the point that Leighton was making, Alphabet owns Google. He talks about Zappos. Zappos owns 6 p.m., but Zappos is also owned by Amazon. You see how deep it can actually go? So, but you still have to be careful. Even when you're creating a brand, do the research to see what aligns with that brand or what may conflict with that brand out there. Thanks.
Thanks for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
The other element is content creation, and this will impact all of us who are at the stage of promoting our website. Content creation can be such a time-consuming thing, whether it is between creating the content, editing the content. Of course, there are tools out there these days that make it easier for us, like Canva. And there are many, writing tools out there that I can use, but at the end of the day, somebody still has to get it done for it to be done right, right? What I encourage a person is try to do your content in blocks. We're not going to be in the mood every day to come up with a post. So if you can spend an hour per week and come up with 5 posts for the week, it's better than to try to come up with 1 post per day. If you can spend 5 hours for the month and maybe come up with your content approach for the year, it will again will benefit you. Try to do it in blocks. That's going to be my encouragement. And also try to outsource it. I don't like writing or reading. Can't tell you that much. For somebody who is in the business of creating many proposals and doing documents, I hate writing and reading. So because that all of my content is always outsourced to somebody else to write it. Initially, I had a very big challenge with it because I was saying, boy, who is going to write this content in a way how I need it to be expressed? Only one person can express the thoughts of Leighton Campbell, and it's Leighton Campbell. But I grow to learn that sometimes when you are also in a technical space, it's good to have a layman write in layman terms so that it connects well. We don't have to be the producer of the content. We can outsource it. What we need to do is ensure that the brand messaging and the communication is on point. So we'll have to at least read it or review it, or we can outsource it. And sometimes what I do to get it done cheaply is to outsource these types of things, like university students. We don't need to get a big professional to do some of these things. Sometimes getting somebody who is in school, who just wants experience or wants a side gig can be sufficient. But, we can't do everything ourselves, guys. Can't do everything ourselves. And some of us are just not good content producers. Bottom line, we're good at what we do, but we're not good at creating content. So I encourage you to outsource it. I encourage you to outsource it to people who are not looking for full-time jobs. If that you can afford to hire somebody full-time to do it, your students are good candidates for these types of jobs. Or even just an intern, you can do it that way as well. All right, Roland?
One point, also Fiverr, Fiverr, has some good people on there as well.
Yeah, Fiverr and Upwork.
No problem.
Yeah, and if you and I think also too that if you post a job on LinkedIn, people respond. You can state it's free to post your job. You can state the duration, or, because a job can be time-based, it can be results-based. You post it. So if you want X to be done within 2 weeks, it is what it is.
Right. Those are some good tidbits, good resources to leverage. I myself did jobs on Fiverr when I was just trying to figure out, internet, earning from the internet overall wasn't for me, but there are persons out there who are doing great jobs on these platforms. I have hired from these platforms before as well for simple and for very major projects. So you can find a different mix of skill sets at different price points as well. Fiverr starts at $5 for some tasks. And sometimes, persons in some of these countries will really put in a great effort for these price points. All right, let's jump over to Jamie. Jamie, what are your current needs where marketing your business is concerned? I think we all have a fairly clear idea what telecare is by now.
Yeah.
What are the needs that you have right now where marketing your business is concerned? Getting out there, or just developing leads, driving traffic, converting traffic. What are some of the needs that you have right now? What's your biggest?
Since we've launched late last year, we've been pivoting a lot in our services, trying to get the market. For example, right now we've mostly done social media boosts, for example, the Facebook boosts. We've tried to do surveys, but we're not being successful with, we get likes, but we don't get any follow-throughs. We want people to be using the service or the platform. But creating that right campaign to attract the people to say, ooh, this is something good. It's been a challenge. Marketing is not my background or my husband's background. So creating that right campaign, that right name to get the people, the masses to use the platform has been a challenge. And of course, cost, using the media houses, using advertisements, newspapers, it's costly. So we try to go the more affordable route, which is social media.
Right.
But it's obviously not hitting the target market that we want. We're obviously not selecting the right options for Facebook to categorize, the right people to be viewing or for example, a couple of weeks ago, we sent out a survey and I think 9 people answered, and it wasn't a very favorable response on it. They half answered, they would answer 2 questions, they wouldn't complete the survey. And we did everything that a survey is supposed to have. We went online I went online and I searched, okay, what's a good survey? We checked off all the boxes of what a good survey was supposed to have, but people still weren't clicking on the survey and filling it out. It was a survey with like 4 questions, yet, people still weren't filling it out for us to be able to get a good feedback of what they're feeling out there.
Right.
So that's been our challenge, really, getting our word out there.
So you are at the stage, everybody in this chat is at the stage of greatest difficulty. Bottom line, right? It's easy to, well, not easy, but we can figure out our business models as we think it through some more. We can arrive at some version of an e-commerce setup once we've thought it through, and get the right team members or technical support that is needed. But when it comes to making the sale, it requires a very purposeful, very strategic, very intellectual approach towards doing it. And when intellectual, I mean that you're knowledgeable about your business, about your customers, and as a business that is new and still pivoting, I know the headache that you're faced with. First thing that I'll say is arrive at one sellable solution that you can comfortably promote and that defines what your business is about. And let's promote that. So I'm going to give you some homework, Jamie, to arrive at that single most service that, and I say, I know when you're pivoting how difficult it can be to promote, because today you're selling something, tomorrow you're not, because you're still feeling it out, you're still trying to get the bite. But choose one specific service that you can sell to everybody, and let us create a campaign around it. You have the workbook for module 4 already, right?
Yes.
We are going to fill this out over this 5-week period. Ideally, if you can get it done within the next week, then it would help me to help you to actually launch a campaign and get it off the ground, right? But let us create a campaign for you that introduces your product to the market in the way how you need it to. But I need you to fill out this workbook, because guess what? You see, at the end of the day, you are right. I hear you're doing surveys. I'm not sure the reason why you're doing a survey.
Well,
Go ahead.
Now the survey, see, we're trying to, we're trying different services that might appeal to the different workforce, because that's our target market. Our target market is the busy workforce. We are a telemedicine, so we want to, the people who can walk to the clinic, who have the time to do all of that. That's not our target market. Our target market are the people who don't have the time, who don't have transport, who the mobility to get to the clinic. So we were trying different services, and our survey was for us to see if the feedback of how receptive a specific service would have been. I see a comment here, offer a giveaway. We actually did. We said, if you participate in the survey, we're going to have a raffle. You get a free consult with one of the medical providers, and that still didn't get people to do the surveys.
Let's pause right here. Let's pause right here. I want to drive this point home to everybody on this spot, every single person. Guys, the definition of a startup, there are many. I like to define it this way. I like to define a startup as a business that is trying to figure out what works for them. And you may be in the startup phase for a period of time. It's not just upon launching, it's not just your first few months. Sometimes a startup period can be your first 3 to 5 years. You understand? However, the most important thing for you to do at this phase, because what you're doing, guys, is that you've conceptualized, you've created the business with its e-commerce components and capabilities. Now it's time to launch. Number one thing that you have to do right now is test and validate. Test and validate what people are willing to buy. A survey, though good, will not test and validate what people are willing to buy. So let us sell our products to our intended target market. The only thing that will tell us if people will buy our actual sales. Yes. So let us try to organize, for all of us who are at this stage, let us try to organize a campaign, one single campaign, whether it is we're going to send it out to our WhatsApp group, whether it is that we're going to send it out to our Facebook group, put it on social media, advertise it, put it on radio, get a town crier to drive around and cry talk to the whole town. We're going to create a campaign. Everybody in this segment is going to create a campaign to promote your product or service. And if you can get one person to buy, you can get more to buy. All we need to do is understand who bought, what does that person look like from a target market perspective. So what's the demographic? Who is that person? And try to find more persons like that, right? In this segment of the workbook, it's all about launching a campaign, right? So you have your campaign details, you have your revenue targets, you have your target market that we're going to be breaking down. So whether your target market is local or international, what value are they buying, where can they be found, what exactly do they need, and when do they buy it? Because some of us sell seasonal things, some of us sell all year round things. Some of us sell things that people buy at payday. You have some things that people buy right throughout the month. You understand? We need to be very clear about. We also need to be very clear about our selling points. So yes, you were doing a giveaway, and at the end of the day, you can't give away a service that is very valuable to a lot of persons, but you can do a giveaway that of great value, of our great perceived value, that drives a lot of buying interest, right? And what do we do with this buying interest thereafter? Sometimes it's what converts to the sale. Also, that in and of itself is kind of a survey to tell us what people are interested in buying. You get where I'm coming from? So we may not be able to give away free consultations to all, but we may be able to give away a free consultation to the first 10 persons or the first 20 persons. You get me? So we provide something of value that we know people really, really want. Get them to buy into that value and see if they jump. If they don't jump, then we need to change your value. You understand? Use your campaigns to manage your pivoting process going forward. So find one thing, find one part of service, whether it's a standard checkup or standard service that you can offer that everybody needs, and let's try to run a campaign around it. How does that sound, Jamie?
It will be a challenge, but I'm up for it.
All right, good. So starting this week, I want you to spend some time on your workbook. See if you can just complete it, even if it's not perfect. Just complete it, we can work it through and get that campaign off. All right. And we look at what resources you have. Even if you only have $30 to spend USD, we can make it work. Right? If you have no dollars to spend, then boy, it's going to be even more challenging, but we may have to look at more innovative ways of reaching. But at the end of the day, guys, you have to keep in mind, marketing always need budget, one way or another, especially where internet marketing is concerned. So try to assign something, even if it's just $30, $50 for a 1 month period. You can use that to get a lot of information back about what persons are interested in and what they're not. Ensure to also have things like analytics set up on the website so we can track what is happening, who is visiting, where are they coming from, which pages are they landing on, where are they dropping off, what's making the sale, what's preventing the sale. Things that are very important. All right. All right, Jamie.
Okay. I'll
Right.
give it a shot.
I just wanted to, this is Tamara, I just wanted to add to that really quickly, if that's cool. Hey, Jamie, how are you? One of the things I want to consider is, I don't know what LinkedIn looks like in your country, but it seems like LinkedIn could be a good place to find those people, right? You're probably looking for people, again, who have a certain amount of income, specific type of job, and that could be a good place to start. LinkedIn also has a tool called Sales Navigator that you may be able to get free for a month. You might have to spend $100 on it, but it gives you an opportunity to look at people, their job titles, a bunch of different things, and you may be able to compile a list of at least 100 people. That's actually a strategy that we're using right now to build a list of CFOs and CMOs that we want to reach out to. So LinkedIn might be the space and not necessarily Instagram or Facebook. So as you're building out your campaign, think about, where does my target audience really spend their time? They might hang out on Instagram to hang out, but they will be on LinkedIn doing more things like what you're looking for. Hopefully that helps.
Thanks so much. Thank you. It did. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure how LinkedIn is really with in Belize, because I am on LinkedIn, but I don't see a lot of Belizeans, like working class Belizean. But then maybe I'm just not looking in the right.
Yeah. Well, it depends on if you're
channels.
using the tool or not, right? So,
I'll definitely
yeah,
take
you
a
can
look
start
at
doing
that
some searches and see.
how that can work. Thank you so much.
I can speak. I'm getting some feedback from. Okay, so I can speak specifically about that Sales Navigator tool. It really does work. The greatest thing about it is that you're able to filter and sort persons by every breakdown on LinkedIn. So whether it is, your job title, how long you're working, level of seniority, all those things in different countries. So, if it is that for example, your target persons who are even outside of Belize, then you can, find those persons there. The only challenge I find with using it is the contact information for reaching out. I don't remember if it readily provides it, or maybe you have to use in-message chat to reach them. But at least you're able to filter who those persons are. So it's a great resource that you can lean on. I think it does provide a free for the first year. Can get a little bit expensive if you should buy the whole thing, but first month. But you can definitely try that and see if it works. All right. And I'm gonna jump over to Roxanne because we're pretty much at the end of our session. I wanted to definitely get Roxanne's input here. Roxanne, what is your biggest hurdle to overcome right now where generating leads, getting out there, getting customers to buy is concerned?
Hi. Well, I think the last thing you were talking about there is the money. That marketing element is critical. We've been working we're almost 3 years, and it's a lot of things are in place for us, right? A lot of the elements are in place for us. We'd love, your feedback, you, Gilbert, Philip, your feedback in terms of the auditing the site and seeing how it works and, what we could edit there, no problem. But certainly that next element of, that marketing needs money. It needs constant money to reach the eyes and the pockets that you want in particular. Importantly, we were able to spend some money last year on direct digital marketing. Kudos and thanks to Caribbean Export for that support. And we were able to work with Monivan, who's on the call as well, Tamara, in being strategic about identifying some countries and states and, to drill down. So I missed last week's class, but in the fact that you were talking about, and analyzing the data, analyzing your audiences, where they're coming from, how long they're spending, that's the critical stuff. That's important stuff. Otherwise, it allows you to be able to, directly spend your money, right? You could then be clearer on, well, all right, so people in New York are looking, let me spend some money there. People in Texas are looking. It helps you to be able to do that. So, but the marketing money is important. I just want to also say to my fellow entrepreneurs, I know it's a challenge, right? We're doing a interesting juggling thing here. We're trying to do the work while fixing the work, while editing, while it's lots of things going on, but don't worry, be consistent, keep pushing forward. I think that business canvas that you all have shared is a phenomenal tool that gives you in one page a chance to see where you're at, and I also identify, what you could improve on, what you could develop on, right? So for me, this has been very, very, very valuable, but I need some, I need to push and get some more support for the marketing and promotions, that even things like getting influencers, influencers are no longer give them a free item and they're happy, you now have to pay kind of things. So things like that, you need to get out there with.
Top dollar now too. Right?
Top dollar, correct.
Thanks for that, Roxanne. Thanks for also the highlights as well. One of the things that I would say, we're tempted to do a lot as entrepreneurs, is go after the shiny things, and shiny things, are new ideas, new customers, new things. And oftentimes we tend to, and I think it's just natural, as part of being an entrepreneur, part of our DNA, to be excited about new things that will make a lot of noise, a lot of position us in the way that we want to be seen from a branding or whatever perspective. But one of the greatest strengths of an existing business is its existing customer base. And that's where I would want you to actually start, where your campaigns are concerned. Yes, of course, we want to get campaigns out there that are consistently exposing you to new customers. but we are most likely to make majority of our sale from existing customers, customers who have chosen us, customers who trust us, customers who have experienced our brand and our service and feel comfortable buying from us again. You know, I would look at taking your marketing approach, starting right. You're starting at who are the persons who are buying? What do they look like? Where do they come from? How do we get them to buy again and get even maybe their friends to buy? You know, these are some of the things that I would want to start with, especially being that, you know, you've done the whole 9 years of working with Tamara to, you know, help to define things that maybe your market segments and just, you know, how you view your customers and stuff like that. You know, we don't want to look at, you know, some of the low hanging fruits that we can pick. And, you know, this will help you as well to understand where you spend your marketing dollars, which channels to use where your marketing dollars are concerned. Because when we're marketing, I have an approach that I try to get persons to buy into, which is build a community and sell to your community. Build a community of purpose around your brand. So when you're running your Facebook ads, your Instagram ads, what you want to be doing is getting them into your mailing list, right? Getting them visiting your website, seeing what you're about. We don't expect them to buy the very first go. What we want to do is get them into our mailing list, because emailing is almost free. Yes, you have to pay for our email marketing solution, but we don't have to pay per text message. It's one of the cheapest ways of continuously engaging your customers directly. So we want to leverage tools like that to be targeted with our communication. So if we can use digital marketing to build that community, build that list, and then market to that community, then I think you will find greater success in, you know, the return on investment from your marketing dollars. Of course, included in that community are you have different segmentations. You have your customers who buy from you, and you market to your customers different from somebody who has never purchased from you. You know, you can use things like blogging, email marketing, which are fairly cheap marketing resources to have that direct targeted engagement going. And also, of course, when you are selling, you know, look at maybe what I mean, Shopcarry is a marketplace. So you're selling many different types of products. Or your customers are selling many different types of products. Maybe there's also an opportunity for you to engage your customers to market on their behalf, and maybe that optimizes your revenue stream, where maybe you can charge your marketplace holders or vendors rather a promotion fee to promote their business for them. And, you know, you promote different things at different time of the year, because we know different vendors appeal to different type of market segments, and there's always some type of activity happening throughout the year, whether it's Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day, Christmas, Easter, summer, whatever it is, they're happening right through the year. We can promote them. That's the type of approach I thought I wanted to do. But again, I'm going to ask you, Roxanne, to complete this workbook. Let's come up with a campaign, one single campaign that we can push out over the next 5 weeks. Even if it's just sending it to a WhatsApp group, people, close friends, just try to get it to as many persons. Try to assign a minimum budget, $30, $50, you know, something that you can afford, something that makes sense for you. And let's try to create a campaign around that. Nothing beats getting the sale, guys. Nothing beats finding the formula to get the sale. If we're able to do this, then right away, you know exactly who your customers are, how to reach them, how to get them to buy again. You know, that's what I want to achieve in this phase for this particular track of the program. Make sense, Roxanne?
Yeah, sure. We've actually used the template for a campaign from your class. So yeah, we're working.
Great. And as I said earlier, and as was told to me, being an entrepreneur while working on a business, working on it is like fixing a car while you're driving it. It's gonna be a challenge, guys. It's gonna be a challenge, but it can be done. What you try to do, just schedule what you can afford to bite off, and get the work done little by little. Measure your progress, ensure you're meeting your milestone. Do one thing at a time. Don't try to do everything. You find yourself lost and spinning in circles, trying to get it all done, right? But that's pretty much it from my end. Caribbean
Right. It's a great outing today. Leighton, thank you very much. I'm already looking at the distribution of the tracks, and we'd have internal discussion, but we may have to adjust the time allocation per track, you know, given the demand for the various tracks. But that would be communicated in due time with you. For those who are still on the ideation stage, I would really encourage your BSOs to really walk along with you, even as you walk along with the master trainers. It's obvious that track 2 has more has the highest demand, so we need to allocate a bit more time to the track 2 cohort, but that will be communicated in due course to everyone before next Thursday. But today was really great. I mean, I missed 45 minutes of it, but I was very impressed, and it's certainly good to hear the validation of the some of the tools from what Roxanne was saying and others in terms of actual application to what you're doing. So I feel really good about that. So thank you very much, and have a great weekend. I know the Bajans have Heroes Day tomorrow, so happy Heroes Day.
Sorry, I
Bajan
wanted to know
counterparts.
about the split payments. When will we be addressing the split payment? I know it couldn't be done today, but when will we be talking about that?
Payments?
Split payments.
Right. So Leighton and Gilbert, it might be good that you could develop a schedule,
Right.
what the topics you'll be doing with each track
Thank
over
you.
the next couple of weeks. So for those of you also, the rest of us, enjoy your May Day holiday.
Oh, happy holidays.
Yeah, so take care, everyone.
All right, guys, take care.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, trainers.
Yeah.